Hi, and welcome to Thursday with a Friend. My name is Lawrence, and today I have another great guest. This is a guy that I spent a good amount of time with him at Joe Fest this year. We talked the year before, and I said I got to have you on. But again, uh, you may not realize this. It You start to really fill up these Thursdays, and when you don't have repeat guests, and you want to get different types of guys on. So sometimes it's over a year before you get to someone, but sometimes you just spend some time with someone, you hear how they are, you're like, you are so engaging that I have to have you on. So I reached out to him. Now, I'm not going to waste any more time. You guys have seen him, you've heard him, but until you've met him, you don't know. But my next special, special guest, Hans Chow. How are you doing?
I am doing very well. A punker with the toys. I'm doing
And
fantastically
and
well. Thank you
I
for having me.
it is if you've met this guy, I'm just telling you, you will start talking like Hans Chow. And you're like, do you really talk? And I asked you, I'm like, do you really talk like this? Or are you like Macho Man and you've just built your and you're like, no, this is my voice.
This is what I sound like.
It almost sounds fake until someone gets to know you and they talk to you on a regular basis. You're like, this is his voice. Like this guy has one of the greatest voices I've ever heard in my entire life. And I solely mean that. And I was like, are you like Macho Man? Like everyone knows like Macho Man didn't talk like that. He did it for so long that it became his actual voice.
No,
So
that's my real voice. It's the island accent. I will say that when I speak to people from other countries, I certainly tone it down quite a bit. When I was in university, they only ever heard the real island accent when I got upset, because then it would get much faster and much more. "Dah," and I don't want to use the
and now you
language.
sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Dar.
I know, tired of all these exams. It just it doesn't.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, we spent way more time this year at Joe Fest. I don't think I spoke to you at all in 24, the first year that I was there. I know we talked in 25. This year, Ben, we spent a lot of time chatting. We had lunch together. You know, you did something that I normally don't listen to, and we won't be doing. You were talking politics. And a lot of times when someone that's from a different country talks US politics, you're really like, you know what? I don't really want to hear it because you don't know shit. But you came from a point of education and explaining things, which is way different when someone is being being nice and polite about it, and they're just explaining how they see things. And it was a good like hour that we were talking at the bar there.
It
And like I
was.
said, normally I don't do stuff like that because
Uh,
it doesn't turn out well, for anyone. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not gonna listen to this. This guy doesn't know anything. But you came from this educational world, talking about it, and I was just like, you are just again. I'm really just. I said earlier. I think I said uh, on Monday. I'm like, I got like a total man crush. All right, I'm not gonna lie. It's the voice, man. I'm not gonna lie. You could seduce me at next year's Joe Fest if you want to. Uh, I don't know why you want to, but you probably could. Anyway, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm enjoying a vacation between terms. That's not entirely true. I actually left my job recently after 20 something years of teaching.
Ooh,
Um, yeah. I finally realized it is time to try something different. So my life has been students and faculty and parents for a long, long time. And now I'm hoping for it to just be focused very heavily on my family and my art career. Trying to remove a lot of gears from inside my life that may or may not have been working as well as I would have liked them to. And I'm getting used to it. I'm getting used to being in control of my own time. I'm focusing way more on art, like way more, which is what I've always wanted to do ever since I was a kid. Um, I was drawing comics and stuff when I was 3, 4, not 3, that's an exaggeration, 4 or 5 years old. My mom used to buy these packs of copybooks. I don't know if you guys have copybooks, but I was always reserve a few of them, and I'd fill them full of drawings. And that hasn't changed. My drawing book's actually right next to me. It's this one is there, and then there's one over there, and one over there. And then my art's on the wall over there with a few friends' art as well. It's just, all I do is draw, and I always tell my kids, I would rather be doing other than what we're doing right now, and they're like, "You'd rather be drawing?" I like, exactly. Always rather be drawing. So now it's time to do that thing because I'm getting old.
Well,
And
you know what? We all have loves in our life. I tell everyone. I know you guys mark it down right now. I always tell people like I hope someone has something they love as much as I love skateboarding. I can't explain why I love skateboarding so much. At 50 years old, it's way harder to go do because with something like art, playing the guitar, stuff like that, like you can still do that and not have to worry about going into work the next day. I
oh,
got to do mine, and I did mine a lot when I was younger, because that's when the knees and everything says you should do it. But I
yeah,
still get out and do it, and I'm just happy I don't embarrass myself anymore.
I tell you right now, if I was to jump on a skateboard, I would absolutely embarrass myself right now. The last time I used a skateboard, I was probably about maybe 5 to 8 years old, maybe. Um, I I'm not funny enough. I always tell everybody this. Like it's like you could put a soda can on top of somebody's head and I can jump kick it off. I'm very good physically. But if you ask me to kick a football, I'm like Charlie Brown with the Lucy football. I fall and I bust my ass. For some reason, that level of coordination and control is not by me. I control me, but not the other things. I can't.
It's
I'm bad
so
with
fun.
skates.
It's so funny you say that because my daughter called me while I was at the gym yesterday, and I was like getting on the massage chair, so I'm just talking to her, and she's talking about golf and all the stuff that's going on, and how like one girl that's playing golf with her, she's really good at softball, so she thinks she should be good at this. And I go, listen, I've been riding skateboard my entire life, and when I tell people I can roller skate, but when I do, I'm like super stiff, and people are like, well, you can ride a skateboard. It should be easy. I'm like, but it's two different things. Just because they have wheels and you roll and they're both skating, it's completely different.
There's no cross pollination between these skills. It's
Yeah.
like saying you see really well, therefore you should hear really well.
But,
No, that's different, very
but I
different.
think like you said, in your mind, you're like, dude, if I can do this, I should be able to do that, right? I can see myself roller skating awesome or rollerblading. But then I get on them and I'm like, you know what? There's a reason why I was put on this four-wheel menace to society, right? This useless wooden toy. But so
I,
I fully get what you're saying.
but my kids have an interesting take on physical education. My son is kind of a vegetable right now, and I'm trying to fix that. He's not a vegetable by choice. It's just that the sports that he's tried so far haven't really meshed with him. So I'm like, well, your father was. I represented Trinidad and Tobago in Miami 5 times for national kickboxing championships, right? And I was like, you probably are a little violent tornado boy. Let's try martial arts. And he's like, but I don't want to get hit. And I was like, if you're good enough, you won't get hit. Right. So I put him in martial arts and he's doing it. And he has that. I can see the little Chow Kung Fu nature inside his body. But I can also see other things that I didn't know were there. So he has a perfectionist nature as well.
But
So
you kind of lied to him because but you say if you're good enough, you're not.
gonna
And
get
yeah, I've
at
had
least
people tell
better than
me,
the other person, right?
yeah, I've had people tell me like before, like with skateboarding, and they're like, I don't like they're new, they're young, or maybe they're older, and they're like, I don't want to embarrass myself. I go, you're in the wrong sport. Like, like we've all taken the worst slams ever that are absolutely ridiculous. Like you are going to fall.
Yeah,
It's all part of getting back up.
yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying to get my son to
Yeah.
realize. It is legitimately about getting back up, right? He doesn't want to get hit, but he doesn't realize part of not getting hit is learning about getting hit. So
Yes.
it's a very cyclical lesson, and I'm seeing in him that kind of tenacity. But I'm also, as I said, that physical activity is with skateboarding, with exercise, with anything. There's a level of self exploration. There's
Oh
the
yeah.
realization that we are and of what we are and what we are not, and we have from a philosophical standpoint, we have every obligation to do so. I think Socrates said it would be absolutely a waste of life for us to go through the entirety of our lives without understanding what we can achieve at the peak of our physical fitness. And I think Plato actually said that we are not allowed to be a journeyman in our own physical fitness. At that point, we become a passenger in the ship of our own lives. And I agree with both of them. I think everybody should be physically willing to explore and see what their body is capable of, because I think in discovering that physicality, it leads to discovery of our mentality and of our spirituality. This is absolutely necessary. So your skateboard is the way that you do that, and that's a fantastic thing, because it shows you, as you said, it's not about how much you fall down, it's about how you get back up. But that's a simple lesson that every child has to learn. But
Yes.
not every child will learn it, simply because maybe somebody is an overprotective mother or father and they don't let them do anything like that. They think, well, you'll fall down, but they don't realize that, dude, I spend most of my life falling down, and that's how I learned how to stand. Come on. You
I,
gotta let
I
them do it.
I agree. Let's say hi to the chat really quick, and then we're gonna get into everything. We got Zazel jumping in here saying, "I know Hans from friendship," and then we have Hans Chow saying, "I know me from birth." NorCal Voodoo Toy Box, how are you doing? We got Viper Scout, Checkpoint Alpha jumping in here, Nolan, which makes us Toy Tube official. 3-star draw, who said, "Hey, you need to make sure that people know, because these HasLab emails have gone out. This is about Thursday with a friend, and the only way that we are going to read anything about the HasLab is if you send super chats." That was not me. It comes from this guy specifically. Gun Bunny Customs jumping in here. We have a Cypher 6-3, and then let's see. I know there was someone else. SCS Dog. I think you met Nate at Joe Fest.
Yes, but I didn't know his tag was SCS dog.
No one does. Gaz is here, who I have also had on. I drive by this weed place that's called Gaz. Makes me laugh every time. Joe ARH says, "I was told there would be Hans here."
I know that guy.
We have Mamu Nestor with his Machine Man is here. U.S. Combat Dojo, another karate expert. That's actually his dojo, believe it or not.
It's called US Combat
It's
Dojo.
U.S. Combat Dojo.
Oh
Like,
wow,
yes,
okay.
I had no idea.
I like the logo.
And then we have Stephen LaRoche here. I think I got that right. And Matthew, another martial artist. Don't block with your face. It depends on how bad your face looks. I
That
will
is,
say this: like, I took karate when I was younger, and when you're young, it's really about forms and speed. And
oh yeah,
um, I credit to not really getting hurt skateboarding, learning how to fall and learning how to roll.
oh yeah.
Because I watched a lot of people over years, when they fall on their skateboard, they just they go down. Like, why don't you roll? Like, you tuck and roll a little bit. I know it's concrete, it's concrete, so it does hurt, but yeah, tuck and roll just a little bit. It'll help you.
The momentum needs to feed into somewhere. It does. It just needs
Oh
to feed
yeah,
into the roll. Whatever.
yeah. HK Viper, and at the skate park that I go to, the indoor one, it's kind of bad because everything is very smooth. But you also find when you fall, you just kind of slide out on it. So at an advanced age, it's not bad. But some of these skate parks outside, I've gone down and you just hit the concrete, and it's like you can
Cheap
hear the skid
racer.
marks going. So let's start off from the beginning. Do you mind me asking how old you are?
Sure. I think I'm I think I'm gonna be 47 this year. I think.
47. Okay, so we're around the same age.
Yeah.
What was your family life like? Where did you grow up? Like, did you have siblings? Were your parents together?
Yeah. So my parents were together. It's an interesting story. My father is okay. So for all those sensitive to the information, I'm gonna get into it anyway. My grandfather is straight from China. The Japanese during World War II, the Japanese bombed and killed my great grandparents, and his uncle, who, yeah, his uncle, which would have been my great grandfather's brother, put my grandfather on a boat to come here where there's no war. We were just chilling. And he arrived here, and when he got off the boat, he didn't speak a word of English. And
Where is here?
here is Trinidad and Tobago. It's a small island to the east of Venezuela. We're 10 degrees away from the equator. We have two seasons, sunny season and rainy season. We are in the middle of the rainy season right now. It's a wonderful temperature. It's about 30 degrees every single day, maybe 32. Bad days are 36. It's sunny even when it's rainy. I don't think, why would I leave my island paradise for anywhere, you
All right,
know?
chat. You need to convert that for us and let us know in the chat what that is in Fahrenheit.
Oh, 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Shoot.
70.
Shoot. Celsius to Fahrenheit. 86. It's about 86.
Oh, 86. Oh,
Yeah.
I guess it's more. I thought it was a little bit cooler.
Oh no. I wish it was. I wish it was. You can't walk around here in jeans. You'd lose weight. You'd sweat it out. So grandfather hopped off the boat. We weren't strict on immigration back in those days, so they asked him what his name was, and he said a bunch of stuff in Chinese. And they said, "You look like a Chow." Boop. And they stamped Chow on the passport, and from then on, we've been Chows.
We got Tony's face jumping in saying, "What up, punk Hans in chat?"
Hey Tony.
So that's kind of funny because when you think of, did you see the movie Solo?
The one with Mario Van Peebles.
I don't know, is that his name for Han Solo?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
with
yeah.
Solo.
Yes,
It's
yes.
kind of how he got his name too,
Yep. That's
and your
that's
name is Hans. So
Yeah, well, ironically, my brother's name is Luke, so I think my parents may have done something there. I don't know what though. Anyway,
well, how old's your
um,
brother? Well,
uh, he's
is he young?
40 something. He's
Okay,
younger than me,
all
40
right.
something.
So I guess I guess it would have been out by then.
My sister, yeah, no, I saw Return of the Jedi in the cinema. I was old enough to have seen it in the cinema, which may not seem like a big deal to Americans, but we get movies really slow. So,
What's the
like,
first movie I remember seeing?
huh?
Jedi. Jedi was the first movie I remember seeing
Funny enough, me too.
in the theater.
Yes, same-ish, unless Land Before Time came out before that, but I don't think it did. Oh, I cried so much for Land Before Time, and there's no shame in saying that, you know? I will be with you always, Littlefoot. Anyway, whatever. Um, yeah, and from there, my grandfather built a life. He married a local Chinese girl because Chinese people, we tend to be we keep it in the family. And then
Not
my
like in the South, not like Southern people keep it in the
not
family,
like
right?
that. Well, he was from
Okay.
China. She was Trinidadian Chinese.
I just want to make sure, not like the South.
No,
Not
no,
like,
no, no. My grandmother is very well seasoned, and by seasoned I mean her mother was black, so she had that spiciness in her. So I'm about 1/8 African as well myself, but that's all there is really. But we'll enter the other ingredient after. My Chinese father went to get educated in Canada as an engineer. Yeah, crazy, huh? So my Chinese father and my dad speaks Chinese and all that stuff. He looks like a little Chinese man. To the point when I was growing up, he's like, well, doctor or engineer, which one? Yeah, dude, everybody should. I think if you didn't cry, you weren't paying attention. That was a heartbreaking movie. And then he got educated. Hey, how you going, Uncle Clutch? Uh my mom was studying to be a nun. Um and my father apparently is quite charming despite being Chinese. And he ching charling, and he hit her the kung fu hustle or whatever, and she didn't want to be a nun anymore, and she got married to my dad, which is crazy. And then this white woman who had never set foot in the Caribbean ever moved from having 4 seasons and an average temperature of about 15 degrees to a 30-degree temperature, and basically lost 5 million pounds because she sweat it all out. And then they did the horizontal hustle, and here me and my siblings are.
So so where's your mom? Where's your mom from?
She's French Canadian.
French Canadian.
It's crazy. My father went and imported a bride from the farthest point in North America.
I feel like it's usually the other way around.
No,
It's
usually
usually like
people
them
bring in the
bringing.
Chinese ones. Yes, I know,
Yeah,
but he did the reverse. And my mom had a long adjustment period because Trinidad and Tobago, you drive for 1 hour and you end up on the other side of the island.
I
It's a
remember you saying
small,
that.
it's tiny. 2 hours and you've circumvented it. 1 hour, and as the crow flies, you've reached the other end. And so my mom's, the town where she grew up was bigger than Trinidad and Tobago. I think Trinidad and Tobago fits in New York City like 10 times or 100 times or something like that. It's some crazy number. But the nice thing about that is you get very intimate with your country and you know it very well. And my mom didn't appreciate that at first. But when the population of the country is only 1.2 to 1.5 million people, you kind of get to know everybody. So it's like an episode of Cheers. Everybody does indeed know your name, you know?
So when you were discussing that, and I know we've talked about I've talked to people from like Rhode Island that talk about how small it is, and I've also heard people um from across the pond that talk about how like you know you can drive across certain continents and go through 4 states or like 4 or 5 different countries and make it to the other countries, um, where the U.S. is very large, and you don't
Huge.
think about it. Like you don't think about it, and I
Oh,
don't know if you follow like Josh and Jason, Josh. They're I think they come over from England. They've been in Michigan a lot, and they've just
right.
left Michigan. But I've watched a lot of these people that talk about like everyone says like and I hate saying Americans because American, there's South America, there's North America. Canadians are technically Americans, so are Mexicans, but Americans, they're like people say they're not well traveled. It's because you can leave Michigan and travel 4 states, and you're in a completely different environment.
Yeah.
And
The,
in some places that would be a different country. So like you
the,
are well traveled.
the cultural differences between the Americans I've met at Joe Fest is startling. Like
Yeah.
you've got different accents, they've got different sayings, they've got different ways of thinking. They're so different, and I think some Americans don't renew their passport, and the reason why is because if you want to go on a vacation, there's 52 places you can actually go, and within those 52 places, there's at least 100 places.
Oh
It's
yeah.
America's fascinatingly large, and I
Yeah,
think
like
most places in America, in the Americas, South, Central, and indeed North, are also equally massive. I mean, I went to Venezuela once, and we drove for 2 days, and we were still in Venezuela. It's just how can anybody drive for this long, pass through this many geographical biomes, and it's still Venezuela? Don't you get bored? It's
yeah, no, you're right. It's different. Like here, I'm in Michigan, and we look down upon people that marry their cousins, but in Alabama, like it's all about it. Like
well,
completely
you
different
know them
culture.
very well. I
Yes.
mean, the relationship is there. And I think it's legal to marry her. It's only when you like your sister you can't do that because,
I don't
I'm a
even know.
teacher, and biologically you can't do that. Accidents happen. But
You would think so.
exactly, right? But as I said, I don't judge people. It's not nice to judge. What's it? I think it's a new saying that the kids say in schools, like we listen and we don't judge. At least not out loud is what I would add on
Thank
to it.
you. Thank you. When I'm like, dude, I don't judge you, and I'm like, not out loud.
Not
So
allowed. I
let's be
mean, in my
honest.
head.
You just told me that you're in love with your cousin. So,
Just listen.
all right. So you said you have what? Two siblings?
3.
3 siblings. Okay. So what is
There
the
was
age?
supposed to be 9 of us.
Supposed to. Wait.
Supposed to be. Well, my mom miscarried a few times. Well, you realize in those days there wasn't the internet, so all they did was have babies. So there was supposed to be 9 of us, but the good Lord said, from a financial standpoint, I'll give you 4, right? So it was sister, another one, my other sister, and then it was another one, me, and then another one, my brother, and then 2 more, right? So the 4 of us made it through, the others not so much. But once again, it was one of those things where, if I think even if we had 7 of us, from a financial standpoint, I don't know if my dad could have handled that kind of firepower. It's like the Death Star. I don't think they could have repelled firepower of that magnitude.
Yeah, my dad, he had there was 7. One well, there was 8. One only lived like a year, had
Oh yeah,
holes
that's
in his heart. So there was 7 of them, and 6 boys, 1 girl, and the girl was the second youngest.
she must have been the most well defended girl in the school.
Oh, I've heard stories. I've heard
I
stories about a her first husband that used to beat her and then finally dated at my grandfather's house,
Wonderful.
and it didn't go very well.
I could imagine, as it should. How do you do that?
No.
How big do your testicles have to be to think you can do that in front of the family? Are you mad? But anyway,
Yeah, like they were just telling the story at my brother's wedding, um, again, which I love hearing, and my my dad and my uncle talking about my grandfather knocking him down the steps. And mind you, like my grandparents' steps, when you walked into the house, it went up 5 steps to the main level and then down 12 steps. And like your grandfather knocked him all the way down. And then my oldest uncle, who was a army veteran, served in Vietnam, said, "Well, if dad knocked him down, there's a reason." And he said he grabbed him and just like drug him up, like with his face against the wall. Like, and my kids have said, like, what did you think of like her first husband? I'm like, I wasn't even born yet. This was well before a little punk ever came along. Um, but it's great to hear those stories. But I couldn't imagine, like, yeah, she's the second youngest, and believe me, my 2 oldest uncles, they were troublemakers and trouble enders.
well, every family has to have. I suppose the word would be black sheep, but I don't like referring to them like that because I think we're all a little. We all have a little weirdness in everybody, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
those black sheep have their purpose in life. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there.
Um,
I I don't know my American geography all that well.
I think it's talking to me.
Oh, damn. Da- well,
But did I lie about anything? See, that's the whole thing. That when people go, but you can't stereotype people, and I go, is it a stereotype if it's true?
I
Maybe it is.
plead
I don't know.
I plead the fifth. The country's big enough to bury my tiny Chinese ass and never have done it again.
So okay, so growing up, you had a fairly nice sized family. It sounds
Yeah.
like.
Mhm.
Um, what year were you born?
Oh
Yeah,
gosh, I know it's a big. You're gonna make me do math. Hang on.
you don't need math. You just know what year you were born.
I promise you, I don't
You're
remember.
47 now, so roughly around
Gosh.
78.
78, 79, somewhere around there. Somewhere around there. I know that I was almost a millennial. I know I was almost a millennial.
All right, so
So I was that weird. I don't like that millennial and Generation X, and then you're so close to being a millennial. Anyway, whatever. I don't know.
yeah, I'm proud to be a Generation X. It helps that Shawn Michaels coined D Generation X, who is the greatest wrestler of all time. So then I can just go with D Generation X. Um, what was the first toy you remember playing with? Not like that you fell in love with, but what was the first toy you can remember? And at least from like my age, and I say this a lot, like Hot Wheels, Matchbox, Adventure People, you're coming up in that, like, we might have the first memory of something that was maybe a little bit more, but
He-Man.
He-Man. Okay.
It was 100% He-Man. We didn't have many toys, and Trinidad even now doesn't have much. So that collection you see over there is 17 plus years of me collecting slowly but surely over time. But I remember we were in Barbados, which is another very small island. My mother bought me my first He-Man figure. I don't know.
Listen, the Dusty Rhodes I know is a dude that wore the yellow polka dots, and yeah, not my guy.
And I think I think she bought me He-Man and a Battle Cat, and that was it. 9. I know, right? We'd be like the ring wraiths. We show up at a place, and all of a sudden, oh, my
Especially if you all
sister
have the
would need
same
to. And
bracelet.
if she's watching this, you'd have to get a bigger cloak because you're a very generously proportioned woman, and I'm saying that in front of people. Do something about it. Ha ha. Anyway, she knows who she is. She'll have to find me and fight me now. That's what good siblings do. Remember that. Stay on your toes, as hard as it would be given your weight. Anyway, go ahead. Um, it's not fat shaming. She's my sister. Anyway,
I'm, I'm saying nothing. All right.
she'd have to come and catch me, which would be hard. She'd need wheels, a vehicle. Anyway,
Okay, so I did not expect to have like bringing on scholars, or bringing up scholars, and Aristotle or Plato, whoever you brought up. And then we're going here, like,
well, it's so I studied literature, right? And my mom asked me, okay, so my dad wanted an engineer, and I had a transplant and I was a transplant and had no choice.
I didn't say everyone from Alabama marries their cousin. I'm just saying it's not looked down upon as much as it is in the northern states. And they're not the only ones, all right?
No,
There's
absolutely not.
Tennessee, there's Kentucky,
There's Africa, most of it.
and in the end, you could still be from Ohio, which we all know is the absolute worst state by far.
Oh my gosh. Isn't that where
I hate
that
Ohio.
basketball player is from?
Or what?
Isn't that where that basketball player is from?
Uh, you mean LeBron James?
Yes. Isn't he from Ohio?
Yes.
Right. But he moved.
Oh, he's been all over the place.
Right. He's the traitor. Anyway, whatever. I don't watch basketball, by the way.
You're like, basketball. I'm like, yeah, you don't have to.
Okay, I do. What's the? Well, whatever. If it's
I don't know
football,
what the
I
fuck you're
have to go,
doing.
football. Anyway, anyway, um, I've lost focus. My camera is.
That is the first time I've had a barefoot on the show either. I can tell you that much.
He's a Philadelphia 76er now. There you go. I don't even know what a 70 is. Anyway,
I don't know what a 76er is either, to be honest.
I think it's football. Anyway,
No. It's a basketball team.
I know for sure.
But
He
I don't
don't
know
look
what the
like he
76er
could
is.
play football. At least not the. We don't call football football. We call football what you call soccer, but the thing that you play, well, your country plays, we don't call it football down here. We call it hand egg because the ball looks like an egg, and
Do you
so
really?
no, I made that up.
Okay. I
But
was
that
gonna,
leads me right back into what I was saying,
I was
which
gonna say.
my father wanted an engineer and a doctor, and my mother wanted a lawyer or a historian. And I disappointed both of them by going to study English literature. And my father told me a long time ago, what are you going to do with English literature? And I told him, I'm going to learn how to get women because you have to talk well. And then I'm also going to use it to creatively insult people because, they don't get so mad if it sounds clever. And so said, so done. I got my wife and I got a lot of people around me who find my insulting, and I can take a good joke as well, more entertaining than anything else because it's just yeah, it's like the Merovingian from the second Matrix. It's like wiping your ass with silk. And I enjoy that. I think it's funny.
Okay, so I gotta say this. Like, this is crazy. Cipher 63 says it's from the 4th of July, 1776. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know why he would lie to me. Someone do the research because I'm never going to. But that would make sense, right?
76er.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that would make sense.
I don't really, funny enough, I play a lot of sports, but I don't watch many sports.
Yeah. Okay. So He-Man's the first thing you remember playing with.
It's true.
Do you remember the first toys like you fell in love with? Or was there a certain property that you fell in love with?
Oh my gosh. It would be either Lego or GI Joe. Um, I I was a strange child in the way
You're not
that,
anymore.
well, now I'm a strange adult. It's a little
Okay. All
different.
right. Okay.
I'm taller now and I have a bed. Anyway, so I've always been very orderly, but I've learned this about the toy community. A lot of the toy community are also very orderly in their own way. They like to, they pose things on the shelf, and if someone comes in and watches it, they pretend they're cool with it. But once the guy is gone, they go back and slavishly put the toys back in the exact way that they had them before. And, they lie. Their friends will come in the room and say, "Oh, do you remember where these go?" And they'll say, "No, I don't really care, man. Whatever. They're trying to be cool." And then my friend comes in here and he always takes my Marvel Legends figures and he puts them in rude positions. So the other day, I think he put Rogue being spit roasted by two other gentlemen on the shelf. And I was laughing at it, but in the back of my head is like, "You asshole. Do you know how hard it is to pose those people? And now I'm gonna have to repose them." But you laugh at it. And then of course when he's gone, you're there like, "God, it's so hard to get Rogue to stand with her tiny feet." But
Oh, dude, so hard. I'm sorry. Someone who doesn't use stands, those
oh,
female Marvel Legends are some of the worst.
oh gosh, the tiny feet is on, God help you if they have high heels. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
So I, I was very orderly, and because of that, GI Joe being a military style toy line, it really stuck to me. I didn't have any of the original toys. My first GI Joe was Snake Eyes, the not the first one, the second one with the visor.
Yeah.
I and I got him in a very strange way. There was a family down here who was migrating. They came here. They were Americans. Ironically, Americans got me into the American toy line, and they were migrating back. And the mother did not want to take any of the GI Joes with her. So she asked my mother and father if they wanted to buy the collection off of them for pennies on the dime, simply because it was, 80 something, and that's how much GI Joes cost. So that tactical, that battle platform right there is my chat. Well, not my, but some other kids'
Yeah.
platform.
Well, it was yours as a child. I mean, it was yours
Yeah, it was,
childhood.
it was mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw these things. I never saw the cartoon, but I went one day into our version of Blockbuster, and I saw like the GI Joe tapes because we didn't have a TV. Sorry, and by TV I didn't we didn't have cable. We had a TV, and I
Yeah.
borrowed the thing and I sat down there and watched Mass Device for the first time. And my little child brain said, "This is probably the greatest thing I've ever seen." And that was pretty much it. It was me and GI Joe. And Lego comes into play because it's a lot of building structures. And we didn't get many toys down here. So I spent a lot of time building all the vehicles I couldn't afford out of Lego, you know? Oh gosh, yes,
Mr.
for
Man
sure.
says some kid is still pissed at his
Oh yeah.
mom for that.
He's super upset that I own his dragonfly, you know?
See, that's something my dad would have never done. When he bought me the stuff, he knew. I mean, I really got into GI Joe. Like that was the stuff that was gonna stay with me whatsoever. Like he knew that. My dad would have never, and I know a lot of these parents will be like, "Well, it's time to get rid of it." My dad never did, which I'm very grateful for
Well, my,
that.
my father was the opposite. When I left for too long, things would disappear. And my father's super Chinese. He's like, "He's a grown man. He don't need it anymore." And he starts to sell the stuff, right? He sold so much of my stuff. The only reason I still have that battle platform and a few of my figures is because they were tucked away where he couldn't find them, you know? It's just, and he sold. I'm getting mad, but I had the big Lego pirate ship, and I had it, and it's the Barracuda. It sells for hundreds of US dollars, maybe even thousands. And then I come home one day and it's gone. And I'm just like, well, you leave it up there and you don't play with it. That doesn't mean I don't want it. That wasn't your call to make. But we live in Trinidad and we still hit kids in those days. So he's like, don't talk to me. Pop! And that was, and I was too grown. I can't cry. So I walked into my room and fretted, I suppose.
Can we
Yeah.
do another Thursday with a friend with you as your dad in the voice? Because it is awesome.
My
Like
dad
I thought the Hans Chow voice was awesome. I think the Hans Dad's is way better.
my dad is my dad is a traditional Chinese man. Very traditional. We spoke Chinese and all that sort of business. So much so that, as I said, I work in a school. I worked in a school, and there's a little Chinese kid named Hugo who just came into the school. He's about 4 years old, and I. This is gonna sound really weird, but there was a big school function. So all the parents and all the adults and stuff, they went to the function, and music and drinking, and we offered a babysitting service. And I was in charge of liaising with the student council essentially, and being the adult supervision along with a couple other teachers. Uh,
Experience says there is nothing a white guy can repeat from this.
so, so these two Chinese parents who are diplomats from China, their kid Hugo goes to the school and they leave him there to babysit. And Hugo is a little 4-year-old kid, and they put him in a diaper and stuff, and he doesn't speak much English. He speaks Chinese, and all they're like, they don't speak Chinese. Like, how are we going to communicate? I was like, don't worry, I got this. And I started to speak to him in Chinese. And he looked so happy that somebody spoke the Chinese to him. But then at the end of the whole thing, he went and he spoke to his mom and dad. And his dad walked up to me and he's like, you pronounced a lot of the words wrong. And because you pronounced them wrong, I don't think my son fully understood you, but A+ for effort. And I was like, thanks, man. But when he left, in my head, I'm like, your child shit himself and I had to change his diaper. I would expect a little more gratitude next time. God bless you, sir. But at the same time, a little more.
So okay, so this has nothing to do with that, but I think you'll find this amusing. So my stepmother is Japanese. Now her parents are from Japan. She is from the U.S. She does
Right.
not speak a lick of Japanese. She's a nurse, and we're sitting there at Christmas. I'm sitting there with my stepsister, who is half Japanese. Her name is Kyo. So somehow we're talking about it, and Karen, my stepmother, she's explaining like when she gets a patient that is Asian that doesn't speak English, and she will act like she will act like she doesn't speak very good English also. And we're like, why would you do that? And she's like, well, it just makes them feel
Feel
more
comfortable.
comforting.
Yeah.
And but she'll talk in an Asian accent, and and Keo goes, well, what if they talk to you in Chinese or Japanese, which you don't speak? And she goes, oh, there's so many different dialects of Asian accents. I just say I'm another one, and they just feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And Keo and I are like, and Keo's about 20 years younger than me. We're like, what?
There's nothing wrong with that. I appreciate her. That's good
But
bedside manner.
it was like this the story of Christmas comes out of nowhere, and we're like, this is weird. And she was like so proud of herself. Like,
As I said, it's you play with the toys that God gave you, right? And if
yeah.
that's the toy, I mean, hey, and she works in a hospital. People want to feel comfortable, and if they feel comfortable by walking, they say, "That I only recently came to America myself," then why not? But play the card, man. Play.
And she's a
I
nurse,
speak a
and she
little
probably had.
Japanese, "Omoi no ashinderu," you have to do this, the "Yamete kurasai," they have to big.
I can count up to I think 30 still in Korean, just from karate.
Oh, Hana, Dol, Set,
That
Net, Tasso,
Tata,
Yasso,
Yasu.
Ilgop, Yodel, Ahop, Yol. I think
Yes,
that's 10. I
I
think
can
that.
probably think of what kick is too.
Oh, I can't.
Chuggy, is it chuggy? I don't know. I used to know. Like you could not ask me, hey, how do you say eight in Korean? I'd be like Hana two
I'm gonna say it again. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Once again,
but
it's
I
not
knew it.
how much do you how much do we really use that? Because I know I'm forgetting a lot of my Chinese, but I'm like I use my Spanish regularly, so I'm getting better at that too.
So
Because I
you
mean, as I said, Venezuela's 45 minutes away. We have a lot of Venezuelans here, right? And because we have them, it's being bilingual is cool. Um,
so I got it right. Let's say I said chuggy,
yeah,
right? I think I said chuggy,
see, you got it
and
right.
chair is I think you were saying eight. Hana
Is what
two.
I'm sitting on, you know.
I don't know. I forget. We got pain jumping in here.
Hey, I haven't seen pain in a while.
All right. So as you're growing up, you said you find GI Joe, and you think that it was like the military structure that like put you in, not the articulation and the cool looks, just more of a military style.
Well, it's not only a military style, it was the idea that so one of my I shouldn't say one of my favorite movie growing up is Robert Taylor's um Knights of the Round Table. That's probably
Okay.
my favorite movie of all time. I've seen it. It's like 4 hours long and I've watched it hundreds of times. I still have it and I still watch it constantly. And what always appealed to me is the idea is that the virtues, principle, men standing up for what was right, that really resonated with me. And GI Joe was a lot of that. I mean, you can say, "Oh, well, He Man was that too." Yeah, it is, but it wasn't modern contemporary. I couldn't relate to He Man. I was a 3 foot tall child. You know, I would never be gigantic and blonde living in Eternia in an underpants with fuzz fighting anybody. But in my head, I thought, one day I might be able to slap on some olive green and hide in the bush and fight people, and for what's right and all that. That seemed more an attainable goal than wielding the power of the universe. So I think I related more to that than I did He-Man. And as I said, the idea of the virtues and principles was always a big deal for me. I don't know how much people believe in this stuff, but when you're growing up, you have a responsibility, and that's to kind of learn yourself, yeah. And one of the things I did, and I think everybody should do it because you all have a responsibility to know yourself. I took a personality test, which sounds really stupid, but this is a medical one, a proper one. You pay money for, not what moon sign are you or whatever. Bless you if you like moon signs and stuff, but I prefer something a little more medical. So I'm an INFJ, I believe. So introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging. And that means two things in society. People like me, granted, my personality only makes up about 10% of the actual individual, but it's good to know the 10%. That 10% does two things. Number one, it enforces social norms. And by enforces, I mean it encourages the usage of social norms to have a regulated society. And in the absence of people maintaining social norms, it enforces social norms. So it's actually one of two things. And learning that about myself, I kind of resonates a lot with GI Joe and law enforcement, which I would get into eventually. I was big on social norms and people treating each other with civility and fair play, essentially. And when things didn't work out, I was big on enforcing them, as I would learn later in life. And GI Joe was big on that. But as you get older, you kind of learn that there's a lot of gray in social norms and civility and that which is considered humane, which kind of led me to lean a little bit into, this is gonna sound terrible. But yes, the man. I didn't want to use the name because I didn't want to confuse. But yes, he's right. It's the Myers Briggs test. You can take a free one online, but I took the paid one because I'm Chinese, and I have one mission to know myself better than I know my enemy. That's my job.
Listen, I know myself very well from being single for 10 years.
But it's, as I said, I did that. I learned that. I learned where I kind of fit into things. And GI Joe, as I said, it did that. It did that for me. But I started to lean a little bit. It's gonna sound bad, but I was thinking, it's like, what happens if we let Cobra get a chance at governance for a little while? And then I kind of realized that Cobra Commander, Serpentor, they were absolute lunatics. So it'd probably be some kind of horrific totalitarian dictatorship. So I thought to myself, well, what happens if we give Destro a chance? He's a little bit more reasonable and a govern from the back kind of guy, but he is corrupt still. So Cobra would need better leadership before they did the whole New World Order thing. But I do believe that certainly social norms need to be flexible, and that which we define as principles and law, while it needs to be objective, some degree of subjectivity is important in order to make people feel comfortable. And there's more I can say on that, but I don't want to bore the chat to
I
death.
don't think you're boring anyone. Uh, so as you start getting older, and I don't know how it is where you're at. Do you go from an elementary school to a middle school to a high school, or how is
Yes.
your school structure?
Well,
Okay,
it's the British system. We go from kindergarten, so it's kindergarten and then primary school, then secondary school. Then you can go to a university or you can go to a college. But we shun the college education because it only gives you a diploma, and that's what peasants get. A diploma. You can't get a job with that. You must go to a fine university and retrieve yourself nothing short of a degree or a master's, or if you're a true gentleman, you get a doctorate and you earn the title Mister. I got none of those things. Well, that's not true. I got a diploma and then I got a bachelor's.
all right.
But
All right. So as you get older and you go into what would you be considered high school,
yeah,
are you still playing with toys?
I
Do you
am.
still have them out? Okay.
I I am. I'm still playing with GI Joes. I still going on adventures. I'm building more Lego than I am playing with GI Joes in that time. I hadn't discovered women yet. And even when I did discover women, I still kept playing with GI Joes, but I used to hide it from them because I think it was something shameful. But I also discovered Dungeons and Dragons, which is where I learned
Oh, that
that
wasn't shameful.
well, no, that wasn't shameful because nobody knew what it was,
Okay.
right? Because that doesn't exist down here in those days. And Magic the Gathering, that didn't exist down here in those days. Things that you grow up, which you guys consider to be normal, is absolutely insanity. A bunch of men sitting down in a room and essentially hallucinating while rolling dice.
Well,
That's
believe me, no one
insane.
thinks that's normal.
Huh?
Except no one thinks playing Dungeons and Dragons is normal, except for the
Well,
people that
sorry.
play
Let,
Dungeons
let,
and
me- let me
Dragons.
let me rephrase that. Dungeons and Dragons originated in North America, and it was like the heart of imagine. It was interesting in the way that it led structure to imaginative play. In Trinidad and Tobago, the only thing we heard about Dungeons and Dragons is that if you play Dungeons and Dragons, the devil enters your room and you're all damned. That's the only thing we heard. But one of my friends got a Dungeons and Dragons set, and we started to play, and I really enjoyed it. And I was what is referred to now as a forever DM, and that's where I learned I like to tell stories, and that kind of really pushed me in the direction of literature and loving to tell stories and loving to entertain people through some form of oral tradition. So that played a big part in me as well. But so yes, I was still playing, but my play got way more structured.
Okay.
You
Now is that into like your teenage years?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I never stopped per
Okay.
se, you know.
So you've always had toys around in some fashion.
Yeah, I've always had toys around. But GI Joe, I will say that when they went into space, when they went into
He's
space,
given us a few different voices, not just his own though.
just do the rest of the thing in Russian. Anyway, so I didn't GI Joe, they are. I agree, they are normal hobbies, but down here they were. We didn't make contact with them. We knew it was a thing, but there were no shops that sold anything. So if you were interested, you'd have to get a friend to bring something down for you. Or my mom, she used to visit the back her family in Canada, and she used to bring toys back down every now and then. But actually getting a group of strangers, for example, to play Dungeons and Dragons or Magic was almost unheard of. I didn't learn about Magic until like 2001 or maybe 1999, around somewhere around there. I didn't learn about
When
Dungeons
did
and Dragons.
Magic didn't it came out what in
Oh, I don't know.
I want to say like 93, 94.
But even if that's the case, look at the gap in years. And remember, the internet wasn't around. Right
Yeah.
now, I can type in something on the internet and find out about some weird diaper fetish that exists in Japan. And I didn't want to know, but there it is, you know? Um, but in Trinidad and Tobago, in those days, we didn't know. Uh, I don't know which my mother hated most, MTG or D&D. Well, fun story. My friend left his Dungeons and Dragons set by me one day. The rule book, and anybody who ever played Dungeons and Dragons knows that in the back there's all the spells, and the spells have the ingredients required to perform the spell. So if you wanted to fire magic missile, you needed a chicken's foot, a dash of salt, and all these weird things. My father, who threw away my Lego stuff and sold it and all that crap, invaded into my room and took the book that was not mine and sat down and started to review it. And then he came to me and he was like, I need to talk to you. And Bobby, and he calls me to the side and he goes through in detail and he's like, look at this, this goes against, because we're Roman Catholics, this goes against Roman Catholic tradition. This is witchcraft. This is demonry. I want you to give the book back and stop playing. And like a good rebel, I gave the book back, but I didn't stop playing because I mean, we just played by my buddy from then on. It was fun. What did he want me to do? Go out there and you know, don't talk to me till you doctor. I mean, shit, man. It's just I'm 16. Give me a break.
And Gaz, I started this, so I will come back to this. I want to say this. I had Gaz on, and we got talking on Phil Collins. So anyone that's wondering where this comes from,
Fucking Phil Collins.
it comes from somehow we got on Phil Collins, and I was saying it seemed like for the longest time Phil Collins was the only person that did Disney movies. And I gave my daughter permission when Phil Collins comes on to say fucking Phil Collins. And it became a thing. And that, if anyone is wondering, and I just want to kind of point that out because I don't know how much Gaz is in here and watching. All because of Gaz, we get the fucking Phil Collins. And to this day, if Genesis comes on, Phil Collins, I look at my daughter. Sometimes she has to figure it out and be like, oh, fucking Phil Collins.
Fucking Phil Collins. Yeah.
So as you are going through high school, are you getting into other things? I mean, obviously you got into Dungeons and Dragons. You said you still have your Lego, your GI Joes. Are you doing any other types of sport? I mean, you said you got into martial arts, it sounds like, but I don't know if that was early on or later on.
So, bullying in Trinidad and Tobago takes on a very different form. In my first year in secondary school, which would have been high school, like the older guys would haze everybody. I went to an all boys school, but that's not abnormal in Trinidad and Tobago. The majority of the schools are divided by gender. One of my friends complains it stunts your ability to talk to women. But I don't really agree with that. I think it just kind of allows boys to be the animals that they're supposed to be and get it out of their system when they're young, so that when they go into society, they're not complete cavemen. Um, so they hazed everybody, and I got hazed as well. And I was very short and I was very small. Chinese, we're pocket size. We fit in most overhead compartments. So I got put in a dustbin and kicked downstairs, and my glasses broke. And I used to wear glasses, by the way. And then, I came home and I was like, very tiny Chinese Chow. No one will ever beat me up again. So I went and I started to do martial arts quite a bit. So I did. I started with karate, and I did taekwondo, but Muay Thai really stuck with me. That's before Muay Thai was cool. Everybody is now like, oh, Muay Thai, kick him in the leg. But in those days, Muay Thai was, whatever. I did jujitsu later on in life as well. I never got very far in jujitsu. I did judo too, but I didn't get far in judo either. But I did get a black belt in taekwondo and in karate, and I reached master level in Muay Thai as well. But you learn something critical when you hit 19 years old. You can be 19 years old and you can also be 6'5" at the same time. And I top out at 5'9" on a good day. and a 6 foot guy has at least a 1 or 2 inch reach on you. So when I was 15, 16, 17, I was able to kind of defend the title. But when you go to 18 and 19 and those gorillas come into the ring with you with the 2 extra inches, 3 extra inch reach on you, and they start to beat you up just because they're taller, not because they're better, you start to realize to yourself that you have to accept genetically you're not built for this. Also, I learned that every time you get hit in the head, you lose about 100 brain cells. And at the age of 26, they stop coming back, which is why a lot of boxers sound the way they do. So, just like I chose literature to insult people creatively and woo women, I chose to keep my brain cells to creatively insult people and woo women. So, it was a tactical decision. I kept practicing martial arts and all that, but I eased away from the competitive getting punched in the head side of it. But that's not all I did. I was also what was known as a cadet. I think you guys have an ROTC or something like that. I don't know what it's called in the United States of America, but you start very young and they put you in uniform and you can run and jump and climb trees with the other guys who want to be soldiers. And then, of course, you if you like it well enough, you can actually join the military, and I found that quite appealing because I do enjoy structure. And it was kind of interesting because in Trinidad and Tobago, those who don't know, about 42% of our population is African in descent, 48% is Indian in descent, and the rest of us are what's left. So you end up with the white folks, white, the white folks, the Middle Eastern gentlefolk, and the Chinese, who are, by the way, multiplying because we like big families. So we're starting to make up a larger percentage. So I entered into no, it wasn't Caucasians. They were African in descent. They were the tall ones, and they
Listen,
hit really hard.
I
By the
want.
way,
I think it's cute that you think 5'9" is short.
well,
I also want to say fuck you.
well, it's only short when you're fighting someone 6'1", 6'2", and 150 pounds. Because I was 150 pounds, and I was a good looking guy with the beef on me required to impress the ladies. But they're 6'2" and 2 extra inches, and you get punched in the head, and you start to swear at them in Chinese. And luckily, they don't know what they're saying because they can barely speak English. That's me being not nice. I was just butthurt at the time. Anyway, whatever. So you join cadets, and you realize that the same guys who are beating you up in the ring are also in cadets, and they're still 6'2". And you're running, because you do a lot of running and push-ups and stuff like that. And the push-ups and the sit-ups, you beat them because you're stronger. You got bigger bones and you got bigger muscles. So, but when you're running, 6'2" translates to them running faster too, just because they're built like beanstalks. So there I am with my tiny Chinese legs, efficient but small, just running behind them, trying to keep up. So that went on for about 12 years. And then my commanding officer told me something very interesting, but I thanked him for the information when I was in my early 20s, and I left the military, which was a lot of fun as well. And then I took up a job as a draftsman. Now, meanwhile, and I need to point this out, I always rather draw. And I said that to you offline. I said that here as well. I was always drawing. So I was a cadet and an artist and a martial artist and an artist. Always drawing, always drawing, always drawing. And in my heart of hearts, I always knew I wanted to be an artist and I wanted to tell stories. But my mother and father always told me the exact same thing. It's like, well, how will you earn money doing this thing? And I never had an answer for them. And I would like to tell anybody who's told their children that question, don't do that. You're taking advantage of their lack of knowledge, right? Let them draw. They'll figure out how to make money doing it. That's what I do now, right? That's how I make money. But if I went on what they were telling me back then, I would have never figured you could make money doing it. But you can absolutely do it. Anyway, whatever. So I always was aiming for, well, I'll be a draftsman. I'll draw in an architectural firm and I'll make money doing that. And they were right. I did it. But after 6 years of doing that, I realized to myself, if I draw another goddamn building, I'm going to throw myself off of one of the buildings that I've designed because it's killing me. So at that point, I'd saved enough money. Are any close calls with damaging your drawing hands? Yes, I broke this wrist and it sucked. And then this wrist, I didn't break it, but you always end up with overzealous people in jujitsu who do the holds too hard, and they did it,
Oh, I
and I snapped a tendon there. You know?
I've had friends that are fighters, like they are MMA fighters.
Yeah.
And there's one guy that we skate with, and his dad was a Gold Gloves boxer. He brought him in, and a guy that I know, I wouldn't say a buddy, but a guy that I know, he won championships in MMA. He had his own school, and he said that the other fighters finally came to him and said, "You need to stop him because every time we spar, he is going 110%, and he doesn't understand,
Yep.
and we can hurt him. He thinks he's really tough." And he finally had to tell him, "Hey, you are no longer welcome here because I
Oh,
am keeping these guys from hurting you.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
don't want like you. This is not the place to do it."
Yeah, I agree.
So I
There's
know.
a, there's a mutual understanding between fighters while you're practicing that the goal here is to learn. It's not really to harm anybody. Probably my worst injury though is I got hit by a car, and that was a lot of fun. uh, that folded me like a shirt. So I learned very quickly that if you fight a car, the car will win every single time. But it wasn't life threatening. I mean, my ribs didn't puncture my lungs, thank God. And I'm walking just fine, and I'm still cute, so I'm okay
I
with
think
all
it's
of
cute that
the.
you think you walk fine too. I've seen you at no.
I don't walk like, "Hey," I'm fine. It's cool. I get around. Uh, but look, Mamunesta was also in architectural as an architectural draftsman. It's hard. It's hard, man.
Oh,
And you sit there, and you know what's worse is you're doing all the work, and these weenies come to you and tell you it's wrong. It's like, idiot, I'm using your measurements. Anyway, whatever.
so there was a guy that I didn't know him very well, and he was he was a little bit younger than me, probably 10 years ago. He was at the skate park, and I was talking to one of his buddies, and he's like, "Yeah, he draws the Deadpool Spider-Man comic."
That's amazing.
And what?
So that's amazing.
Yeah. So
Spider-Man.
yeah, like I started talking. He always wore a wrist brace because he's like, if I fall, I have to make like this. And it was very interesting talking to him because he was like, yeah, he goes, you don't have to live like back in the day. You all had to be in the same studio.
Yeah.
Now they send me the script. I write, I draw it out, and then I just send it over to him. I don't know what he's doing now. I'm sure he's still drawing, some sort of comic. I don't know if I think it was the Deadpool Spider-Man. I think had the comic,
Yeah.
and it was very interesting because he showed me like different covers and different, which. But here I am, like skateboard. I love skateboarding, right? But I also know at this age, I have things that are more important, like mortgage payment, child support, all those other things that you have to do, right? I've never hurt myself doing toy reviews. Pocketbook, maybe. And
I mean, that's a given.
yeah, when I looked at that guy and we talked to him, I'm like, you're thinking like, this is one of those things where you actually wonder, is it worth doing? I mean, you have to really love something because that's your livelihood.
It
And if you can't draw with your left if you're right-handed. You have to be very talented to do something like that.
Well, you could, but people will think that you're neurodivergent, so you have to, but I will say this though. If you guys do want to practice like giving your brain something extra to do, just try to write the alphabet with your other hand. I mean, it really kind of activates some of the almonds in your head that haven't been working. And I will suggest it. Do it at least once. Do it with your significant other so you can laugh at each other. Because it's really shows you how much you rely on the other,
So my daughter is left-handed, but
Right.
as many lefties are, they're very ambidextrous. Right?
Ambidextrous.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
daughter's the
There's
same.
certain things that she'll do right,
Yep.
like right-handed, and especially when she's growing up and she doesn't know. So she's been able to like she was able to write with her right hand. Now, as she got older, she just stopped because. But I remember when she was in gymnastics, it drove her it drove her coach mad because she's left-handed, but certain things she goes off on her right.
Yeah.
And then other things, so she's like she has to learn to do it, and she wasn't doing it for competition. She just loved doing it. So there's certain things that it's like it. You see how like certain things like she would throw a ball right-handed better than left-handed. I'm like, how is that possible?
My daughter is the exact same. She's exact same. She's a left-hander, but she'll do a lot of things with right. She'll be writing with her left hand and hand the pen to the right hand and complete the sentence. I'm like, are you showing off right now? Because I could break one of them and you'd be forced to learn with the other. Don't don't mess with Papa. I brought you into this world.
I love that.
But my daughter's the same. My son is a consummate right-hander, but he writes as though the devil is going to kill him if he has to write too long. So he writes really fast, and it comes out like a chicken stepped in ink and ran across a page. But then again, he's 8, so he's got some time before he gets good at that.
I'll have to write things down either for work or for the association. And I wrote something not too long ago for the association where there there's 5 people on it and 4 of them are women. Only one is younger than me. And I wrote stuff down and they're like, wow, you have really good penmanship, And I was like, penmanship it's a choice. You may not have great writing, but if you slow down, it should be legible.
I agree.
It's a choice to scribble.
Oh yeah. This is we had penmanship in our schools, and you had to learn how to write and then I can't remember what it's called. What's it called again? Not join up, it's cursive. You had to learn to write in cursive. Thank you, Mrs. Gonzalez, for slapping me with the ruler on my knuckles until my handwriting looked like I was writing notes from the Queen. Because now I have very nice handwriting, and all the children, they're like, "Oh wow, you have such nice handwriting." And I was gonna say something, but I realized we're on live, and I'm gonna shut up now. But yeah. So I have very nice handwriting, and so does my wife, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. But Todd CE said Frank Frazetta pulled off learning with his other hand after his accident. Yes, Frank Frazetta is probably one of the greatest artists of our time. God rest his soul. I would have loved to have spoken to him for 5 minutes in my life. He's such a legend.
And people definitely do learn to do stuff with their other hand. You're forced to if you break something. But to me, when it comes to art, and I was just talking to someone about this. My old best friend, he would draw stuff, and I recently said it like we had like anytime that we were playing a game and he was keeping score, we'd be like, "Hey, Brandon, what's the score of the game?" And he was what? I'm like, dude, you have the notepad, and then we grabbed the notepad, and it was like 2 bears fucking each other, or it was always Yoda blowing Darth Vader, and we're like, dude, you are not allowed to keep score anymore because you're not paying attention. You're drawing while you're waiting for your turn. But he started teaching. He went back to school. He started teaching, and his teacher said anyone can be a great artist. You just have to learn how to. And I said, I agree that anyone can get better, but you either have the talent or you don't. I'm never going to be as good as you just because I don't have that. Like, I grew up with my best friend growing up as a kid. And he was super supportive, but we would draw G.I. Joe. I'd spend all night doing one scene, and I look over and he has 20 fucking pages of Daymont and Tomax hanging over, getting their throat slit, and I'm like, this isn't fun for me. Like, I am trying, and you're just like, and I don't care how supportive you are, it's very frustrating. And I'm like, you can get better.
I'll always say the technical side of it is is easy to learn. But yes, the dedication and desire, it's like I would always rather be drawing. And
Yeah.
I feel that, yeah. And it's like it's probably the same thing with you with like skateboarding. I would probably always rather be skateboarding. I feel the same way
Oh,
about drawing, you know. So it's everybody's like that. I would always rather be playing guitar. I would always rather be singing. I would always rather be what if somebody always has that thing. They just have to make
yes.
sure that, you know,
I
you know.
hope so. I
I
mean, I
would
truly hope
too.
so. Like, I mean, I am so honest when I'm like, I hope everyone has something they love as much as I love skateboarding. Because I can't explain to you what it. I'm not a thrill seeker. I fucking love being on that board and grinding shit and board sliding stuff. And I don't just like rolling. Like people are like, if you couldn't do tricks anymore, would you enjoy it? I'm like, no, I don't. I don't want to roll around. I want to do tricks. But I'm not a high flyer. I'm not like a thrill seeker. Like I can't explain it.
I I would be happy to just roll around because I don't think I could do it. You know, I mean
And
maybe, you
and I
know.
could see how someone that doesn't love it would
Yeah.
enjoy that.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy riding a bike, right? Just getting on my bike and you ride 20 miles, right? I can also see how someone who does freestyle, like BMXing, or
Yes.
does actual mountain biking, they're like, I can't ride down a track. I'm bored as shit. I have to be going at 100 miles an hour down these cliffs that no one should be. I could fully understand that.
I think it's
I do
important.
not do vert. I've never dropped in on a vert ramp. I've never had an urge to, and there is a vert ramp at the skate park, and everyone's like, "You need to just drop in," and I'm like, "I
No.
know that if I had to, gun to my head, could I drop in on a vert ramp? Yes." I also know that the what could go wrong outweighs
Yes,
outweighs
of
it if
course.
it goes right.
Yes, I did it. Now I have 3 broken legs and I only have 2 legs.
That's
Anyway,
exactly it.
so this is how I look at it, and this is how I so there's an interesting class I used to teach called character education, right? And it basically is to help children kind of understand the world a little bit. So the things that we look at, we're not just the academic side of it, but also understanding self and where we belong. Yes, I agree. It took me a long time to be able to do that because I would say yes and she'll be sexy, and then she ends up looking like a goddamn octopus. And
And
then
then
it's just,
and then you change the eye, and it looks
and
completely
then you
different.
change it, which is, I should bring that up and show these animals. Ridiculous how annoying this is sometimes. Anyway, so there are 4 layers to this thing, right? And the first thing, hey, how you going, dude?
There's the man with the best arms in the community.
So there are 4 things that we look at. Number 1 is a hobby, which is you do it for yourself. You don't have to have any level of expertise at it, but you do it because you enjoy it. And then there's a job, right? Which is where you possess some degree of skill at the thing, but you're doing it to earn money, right? And then there's a profession, which is where you're really good at it and you're trading your time and your skills for finances. And then there's a vocation. And the vocation is the thing which may not necessarily earn money, but it comes from within you. It makes up a core of who you are. And sometimes if you're lucky, your profession and your vocation will be the same thing. And it happens to so very few people on the face of the planet that they're able to take their vocation and monetize it and continue to be passionate about it. And I think that that's an important distinction that people need to make. Hobbies, vocations, jobs, and professions. If you can sync those things up into one, fantastic. You're ahead of the curve. But if you can't do that, you have to understand that compartmentalizing them and understanding and loving each one of them as an individual thing is also very important to maintaining that kind of sanity of being a human.
Now, let me ask, when you say vocation, do you mean someone who is like a professional athlete?
No. Listen. So okay. So vocation is Usain Bolt.
Okay.
So his profession is a professional athlete. His vocation was he loved track and field. He happened to turn his vocation and profession into something he can
Okay.
use.
So you would say like skateboarding for me would be my vocation.
It's your vocation.
Okay.
And it's also your hobby.
Yes. See, I've never heard of it said like that. And I can tell you this, that vocation and hobby it's never paid me a goddamn dime, but I have paid it a lot.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with. So let's look at the only other guy I know is Tony Hawk, right?
Yes.
So Tony Hawk's hobby was skateboarding. His vocation was skateboarding, and he managed to turn that into his job and his profession. So he
Okay.
managed to take all four and squeeze them into one. Frank Frazetta is the same situation. His hobby, his profession, his job, everything squeezed into one with his vocation. And I think everybody is designed to do those things. But
And I think
God
when you're
bless you
saying
if you can do it, you know?
and see, I think when you're saying vocation, I think most people in the States never really heard of it. Like the other three, I was like right on board. Then I'm like, not sure what you're getting at. But I agree with you. I agree with you tremendously that you have a hobby, people have a job, then they have a profession, or a career, you know.
Well, career and profession, interchangeable
Yeah, but
almost.
yeah, and I know I'm just kind of using the term that I normally would use
Yeah, yeah.
because there's people that are like, I don't say I have a job. I'm like, I have a career. I've been here 25 years.
Yeah.
It is what I do. Um, so roller coaster, yeah, Royal
Vocation is your calling.
Food
He's correct. Yeah, vocation is your calling.
says vocation is a calling. No, and I really do, I really do. I like what you were saying. And I just wanted to make sure like I'm on the same page.
Yeah, yeah.
And Todd C says, Punk, you turn your hobby to YouTube. It is a hobby.
One
I will
moment.
say that.
I have a tiny. Did he stop? Okay. So I have 3 cats. So that's a fun story as well. I wanted a dog, and my wife wanted a cat, so we compromised and got 3 cats, and that's how women work. God bless them. I love them, but they're very noisy. Give me 2 seconds. Anne Marie needs to.
I'll take that guy over any cat any day. You can see his life is very rough there. Just laying there. Oh,
I think he thinks
MPR says name the cat dog.
Well, I would love to name him Dog. Oh, now he wants to leave, and that's it. He just want to make sure I'm alive.
Well, he was probably coming in to see if you were dead. He was going to start eating you as
That
you
is
know.
exactly what he wanted to do. He hasn't seen me in an hour and 24 minutes, and he's like, well, the one that feeds us and pets us is dead. Check on him quickly. The other 2 couldn't give a damn. They're whatever, but the black one, that's my boy.
So when you left the military, you went right into the workforce. Did you go to school?
So Trinidad is nice that way. I believe in apprenticing yourself to a professional and learning there. And time in and experience gained can be almost as valuable as getting a bachelor's. And anybody who's worked for any length of time, as I suspect most of us have, you'll know that you learn more in your first week of actually being employed than you do, in months of being in university. So that's exactly what happened. I apprenticed myself to a draftsman. I learned a lot there, and I was an artist, so I had that kind of still hand. And I was always very good at perspective, so rulers and T-squares and set squares and all that came very natural to me. But what eventually would happen is that was a job, and I knew in my head eventually art would be my jam. So I worked there, and I saved like all my money. I lived like a hobo. I had a very small apartment. It was 1 room and a kitchen. And I lived my whole life in the little apartment, and I saved like every single dollar I had. And when I was close to being 30, 2 things happened. Number 1, I met my wife, but in those days she was just a friend. And I learned that that's where the English degree would come in handy, because I talked real good. And I have no idea how she didn't see through the bullshit. But she's still here 17 years later. And then I also decided to go to university. So on the day before I went to university, my wife and I weren't together yet. It was the day before I left. I told her, "Look, I'm going away to university, but I love you very much." And by that's not true. I'm lying. I said, "Do you want to give this relationship a try? I promise I'll be with you. I'm only going away to be educated. I have no interest in anything that Canada has to offer me." And the crazy woman said yes. And after she said yes, I went away and I got educated in the university, Sheridan College for Art and Design. And while I was there getting educated,
And
we
where is this at?
huh
Where is this at?
Sheridan College of Art and Design. It's in Canada.
Canada's
Yeah.
a very large area.
Oh, Toronto. Well,
Okay.
kind of. It's a little bit. It's north of Toronto, kind of thing.
Okay.
I think it's north. It might be more northeast. Anyway, whatever. It's up there. It's cold. Anyway, and then
That's Canada.
that's Canada, the whole thing. And then
I got
every
snow
night,
right now.
exactly, right? Every night we would be on Skype together and we would talk. And because when you draw, it uses, I think it's your left hemisphere. So your right hemisphere could actually just carry on a fully, you know, cognizant conversation, right? So she'd be talking, I'd be answering perfectly. And after 2 years of this long distance relationship, I came back home for by the way, I didn't have enough money to do the third and the fourth year of university. I only had the first two, but my plan was to do so well that I get a scholarship. And I was late 20s while all these other kids were now coming into university at like 18, 19. What did they know about the world? They still wiping their own, butts, whatever. The parents still did that for them. But I knew I'd have to get a scholarship. Otherwise, I'd have to quit the university. And that's what I did. I worked my ass off to get a scholarship, which I did for the last 2 years. And in the second year of university, I came home for summer, and I told my father, I was like, "I'm gonna marry that girl." And he's like, "You barely know her." And I said, "We've carried on a long distance relationship for 2 years. She's been online with me every single night. We've had no physical contact. We've only ever seen each other very briefly." And I was like, that's giving me all the information I need. So in the third year of university, I proposed to her. I told her I have nothing. I have nothing. I've spent all my money to get education, to get my education. I don't know what I can give you financially, but I promise you that I will love you. And she said yes, the lunatic. And then, sure enough, fourth year of university, finished, got my bachelor's, came home, had nothing, got married 4 days later, 8 days later. No, 5 days later. We got married. I arrived home, we got married. I had nothing. We went to live with her, and I couldn't find proper work for 3-4 years. But my wife she had a very reasonable job, and we've been very lucky. And my parents and my in-laws were always very supportive of us. I mean, and I always was working, just never anything permanent. And eventually I became a teacher. And then my wife got pregnant with our first child. And I said, "You supported me for so long. It's time for you to quit your job and raise our daughter, and I will provide." So she did. She quit. And at that time, I was working 3 jobs: a voice on radio, I was a teacher, and I was doing all my side gigs as an artist, doing commissions and comics for indie people and whatever. And I worked really hard to save money, and my wife, she raised our kids, and I spent a lot of time with her and with them as well, because anybody who's a teacher knows that you go in and work very early, you come home very early. And yes, it does suck. You do have to do a lot of correcting and all that at home, and it does tend to be a life-consuming, low-paying job. But at the same time, taught me a lot, and I did love it to pieces. And that's kind of like how it was. I just knew in my head that it's like there was a time for her to work and for me to learn, and then there was a time for her to switch, for roles to switch. And my wife is brilliant in the way that I know we said we wouldn't talk about religion, but I have to bring this line up from the Bible at least, to
It's
say
okay.
a good woman. If anybody could read anything from the Bible, is you could read Kings, Solomon's book about a good woman, more precious than diamond, and more worth more than anything. Whatever money I brought in, I'm not good at investing, but my wife went and she learned. She has a master's in business, and a degree in biochemistry. She's way smarter than I am. Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Those are like two opposite things. You don't think someone would have both of them.
So my wife is a fantastic example of a confused educational career, right? She just was like, yeah, biochemistry. I'm going to be a medical, this, that, and the other. And then she's like, yeah, master's in business. I'm going to do business. And then you know what she did? She did advertising. What? Anyway, whatever. So it's just what. Anyway, so bottom line is that she took all the money that I brought into the house. I didn't need much. Like I just needed enough to pay for the few bills that we had, diapers, groceries, etc., and buy a toy here and there. And then she invested the rest very well. And she still does it now. She's very clever with that sort of thing. And we have had our problems, we have had our arguments, but they've always been superficial versus what some people really do endure in their relationships. And I'm thankful for that every day. So yeah, that's kind of what's happened really. And now once again the roles have changed. We're in a position where I can leave my job, which is what I have done, and try to invest in something else, and she's now working again. And it all leads back to GI Joe. Stupid as that sounds, but there's a time for you to support your teammates, and there's a time for you to be supported by your team.
I
Pride
agree.
plays pride plays no role in a successful relationship. You have to leave it in and let it go. When I came back, I had to swallow my pride and understand it was my time to do what I had to do and allow my wife to shield us. And then for the next gap of time, it was my job to do so. And then now it's time to switch the feet again, and it's for me to understand that it's cyclical. It comes and goes with the times and the tides. Funny enough, my wife, not only was she very supportive with the toy collecting thing, but she's just like, at least you're not a gambler, right? And because gambling is way worse as far as we're both concerned. But yeah, I that real sidetracked it. But GI Joe kind of set the role for that. The military sort of set the role for that. I guess this is discipline. It makes sense. It's like you exercise every day as well. That also makes sense because it's without that structure, without that thing. I mean, objectively, what are we really? You know, that sounds crazy though, but
All
doesn't
right.
sound to me.
So Gaz asked a while ago. Say, Punk asked him
Oh,
about the
shut
cat
up,
girls
guys! Damn it!
of the Dominion Tank Police.
Oh, all right. So, anime. Trinidad and Tobago did not have a very robust relationship with anime. We didn't get it we got it late in the game. And I only saw it on, I think, Saturday mornings because um, Sci-Fi would play anime in the morning, and there was a show called Dominion Tank Police, and there were two characters in it. They were the Puma twins. There's the first time I'd ever seen girls with cat ears and cat tails in my life. All right, and what Gaz is referring to, yes. So Anna Puma and Una Puma, right? So Machine Man said the name, but I didn't want to say the names because I don't want y'all to know how deep I am in this hole. Um, I saw them, and that's when I realized that was my jam, cat girls, right? And that's what Gaz is referring to. That I have a real thing for cat girls, which is why when Black Cat from Spider Man became a thing, that became a thing for me. And if you want to make me feel something, it's not a freaking furry. No, it's not a furry. Okay, right. So here comes the soapbox. The soapbox comes up, stand up, right? Two ears and a tail. That's the 15% rule, okay? If it doesn't cross two ears and a tail, it's not a furry. As soon as it starts to go into the 20% mark, and 1/5 of the character, if they have like freckles like a cheetah or something like that, like Cheetah from Wonder Woman, that's a furry, all right? That's just the 15% rule is just a girl with cat ears and a tail, and it's okay. All right. That I'm not a furry. It's terrible. Now I know everybody's gonna be like, Hans is a furry, and that's gonna be anyway, whatever. Because the internet,
I have to look up what Anna Puma and
don't do it. It may do things to you too.
too late. Okay, so well, it's giving me different things. I don't
Just
have
type in
Perna.
Dominion Tank Police Puma Twins. You can't miss it. Now I'm gonna do it.
Hold on. Google corrected to Perna, and I'm like, that's
God,
not
look
what I
at
want.
them. They're so cute.
No, Google, I don't want that. I don't want that. I said what
I
I
tell
wanted.
that to Google all the time, but you know.
Wait, what is it? It's Dominion Tank Police.
Look, I'll put it in there. I put it in the chat there. Puma Twins Dominion Tank Police. They're these girls with these wild kind of late 70s, 80s rock hair, and they wore like one piece, like bathing suits, and they used to ride motorbikes and have big guns and stuff. By guns, I mean actual firearms, not anatomical features. And it was like awesome, at least to me. And they were so cute. And they had a striptease dance in the anime. And I didn't know cartoons could do that because, once again, I was just an innocent kid in a third world nation. I didn't know cartoons could be sexy like that, but they were.
All right. So if they have ears and a tail, they're not a furry.
They're not a furry.
Okay.
They're not a furry.
I'm gonna let you believe that.
That is the international standard. That is not my scale. That is the international. Yes, you have to do math.
Rich
But
is
it's
now like, now we have to do
math. Ears and a tail. Once it's got ears in it, there's just the two ears in it. If it gets furry skin, if it's fuzz, furry, and you're out. And that's it. Oh, now the whole world. I think.
All right. So so you meet your wife. It sounds like you're still buying toys from time to time.
I am.
Obviously, I can't speak for you. I know for me, when my kids came along, even when I met their mother, my ex, she already had a 5-year-old daughter that I stepped in. She never knew her dad, so I became her dad. So obviously for me, there was things that were more important. Things that were more important than skateboarding and different things like that. And then when you get your own kids. So during this whole time, are you still picking stuff up?
So I've always budgeted. So I think my budget right now is about $50 a month. Right? So if I want, okay. So scoff, right? Naturally, because I know how much it costs.
I laugh because I had a girl on, Stephanie, and she said that her budget is $50 a month for toys. And
Right.
I'm like, $50? What the fuck is that?
Well, so okay, so that's only been for the last 3 years. All right, that's only been for the last 3 years. So for the last 3 years, I spend $50 a month on toys. If something costs $100, I save for 2 months and buy it. And it does two things. Number one, it stunts the growth of the collection, which is good because it preserves space. Number two, it means that it kind of builds this crazy level of anticipation for whatever that thing is. It makes me appreciate it more. And number three, it curtails like this kind of crazy impulse buying because I know I only have $50. And my wife is, as much as she supports me, she also understands the financial ruin that could come with becoming like too crazy with toys, right?
I have no idea what you mean.
I know, right? I don't know.
No idea what you mean.
But she does say there are times to kind of cut loose. And one of the times that I do cut loose is like a Joe Fest. So I go to Joe Fest with like an empty suitcase and I leave with a suitcase full of stuff, right? Because that's kind of how it was. My first Joe Fest was 2023. It is difficult. It takes a long time to get there. I take a lot of discipline and practice. But in 2023, when I first went to Joe Fest, it was ridiculous. I'd seen things I'd never seen in my entire life, right? So I bought a lot of stuff and I forgot that the suitcase is not a trans-dimensional portal. You can't just throw stuff in. So I realized, next year I'll be more disciplined. It didn't work in 2024 either, but 2025, I was very reasonably disciplined. 2020, this year, I was really good, and next year I'll be even better. But every
Okay,
month, I said,
this is what I remember in 25. I did talk to you, and you're like, I have $50 left to spend. And you were determined to spend because you were not going home with any money that you had allotted for Joe Fest.
Correct. That is true.
I specifically remember having this conversation with you.
That's true.
Which I'm just like, I know I have so much money on this credit card, and that's what I can spend. There's no way that I was going to go over it. And then I deal with the consequences later.
Well, as I said, there's Joe Fest is a vacation for me, yeah. So you have to have wow. All right. Well,
So Lego
you
Star
have
Wars
my
Kids says my current plan is $100 a week. Let's see how this works.
I will say this though. Some action figures do a weird thing. I shouldn't say some action figures, but companies do a strange thing. So I think it's October or November, like the Tomb Raider figure comes out.
October.
Yeah, October's a brutal month, if I recall. But
Yeah.
I saved a lot of $50 to facilitate for October or November. I can't remember which month it is, right? But let's just say
October.
I'm not buying any toys this month. I'm not buying any. I didn't buy any toys last month. I'm not buying. I'll next month is my birthday, so I suspect someone will buy something for me. But when October November folds over, it's gonna be that's where all the 50s are going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna
I found Deep Six, which is set to come out October 3rd. I was so happy because I'm like, that's $43 I can knock off that I don't have to worry about. And we know some of them are going to trickle in earlier, but yes, October 3rd for Hasbro is D-Day. Everything is coming.
So for me, it's November. November.
November is also pretty rough, but not nearly as bad as October.
For me, October is just Lara Croft. Just like that one figure. And that she's $44 or something like that. $45 or whatever. So I'll get away with her, That's my one figure for the month. But November is it's like the I don't remember what it's called, but the new Duke for Classified. It's Swindle for Transformers. It's the hooded Cobra Commander action figure. It's the Gambit action figure from Marvel Doomsday, and the Cyclops action figure. And that's like it's almost like $150 of stuff, maybe more.
That's all.
Well, remember, if you're saving $50 a month, that's
I know. I'm just I'm just like, okay,
he's about to shit on my spending.
Well, we okay. So when you said the dates, I was because there are these two dates that are literally just ringing in, and again, when I look at it, October is the Crimson. Okay, October 2nd, the Crimson Snake armor, the 3 retro GI Joe figures,
right?
The Marauder, the Slaughter Marauders or Mad Marauders,
Footloose,
Mutton Junkyard and Footloose, Magneto, a Thor. I don't know why I ordered a Thor. Shang-Chi, Gambit, Lara Croft, Cyclops. the Wolverine and Deadpool figures.
Right.
And then November is the Iceberg and that wave.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. And the the Dusty. This is October still. The Dusty, the Ski Patrol dude, and then the Green Goblin and the Glider.
Right.
And this is from Amazon. I didn't even look at BBTS and when they're going to ship shit out.
Right. So once again, if that's this, if that's
because I haven't.
if that's your thing, then there's nothing wrong with that. I know that I just in my head I know there are certain things I need to fill, And I also understand that if I get, so say for example, I already have a Cyclops figure, which I don't. I don't own any Cyclops figures. He's one of my he's like my favorite X-Man, aside and Captain America is like my favorite Avenger, like
He
forever.
looks really good. I really like the figure.
I do too, right? So I was going to buy the astonishing X-Men, the astonishing X-Men Cyclops a long time ago, but I didn't 100% love the figure. So then what happened eventually is I do this thing, and I learned this from another toy tuber called Chefatron. I don't know if anybody knows who he is, but he does a lot of Transformers stuff. And he said, like, if you don't love it 100%, don't get it. So I didn't love the Astonishing X-Men Cyclops 100%, so I didn't get it. And the same thing with Captain America. There've been a lot of good Captain America figures, but it just never hit me so 100%. So I didn't get it. And it's just one of those things where if I want it bad enough, I wait a week. If I still
Yeah.
want it at the end of the week, fine, go ahead and get it. But it's tactical toy buying, right? Because I have two kids and they're still pretty young, and I need to kind of show restraint, and I need them to learn that from me as well. It's like, and because I tell them my struggles, I tell them it's like I want that really badly, but I don't know if I really want it, so I'm gonna wait and see if I still want it. And my son does it every now and then. I can reach up and show you this. I don't know who has been doing this thing, but who's been collecting blockies, right?
Not me.
So, not you. Okay. Well, my kids, when I went to Joe Fest 2026, which is this year, I didn't know what to get my kids. And I didn't want to tax somebody to drive me around to buy stuff for them. And there was a guy in Joe Fest in the back by the stairs selling blockies. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. How much for a blocky? And he was like, oh, it's $3. I was like, $3, damn. So I bought like 6 packs or something, maybe 8 packs of them. And I brought them home to my kids, and they were like, oh my gosh, they love them so much. And I have to say, like, playing with them, they're really fun. They're very articulated. They're fun to build and stuff. And my kids were like, oh, well, we want more blockies. We want this character and this character and this character. And I said to them, I was like, well, I could get them for you, but we got to wait, And they go, why do we have to wait? It was like, because there's no reason to get them right now, you know. And they kind of learned that delayed gratification situation. And when they eventually got them for their birthdays and stuff, they were super happy. And as I said, there's a lot to be said with waiting, being patient, building anticipation, and learning to love something for what it is. Hey, Joe Fan 84. Um, Rather than just simply like impulse grabbing. So I think somebody put Siberia in the comments and you popped it up.
Yes. Next
So I saw
Thursday.
Siberia in Joe Fest 2026 with everybody else, and I saw that figure, and I was like, I don't know how much you cost, but I will own you. You're a wonderful figure.
It
Um,
looks amazing, and I was really hoping that it was going to come out at assembly required, so I could just get it there.
right.
Um,
But
it's
when
not.
is
It's next Thursday.
right? So it's this Thursday, right? But my
Yeah.
budget's already spent. So what's going to happen is I'm probably not going to be able to get that figure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to accept the fact I can get that figure, and I'm going to wait. And eventually, I'm going to get the opportunity. And that's pretty much it. At that point, it just becomes a crapshoot. And if I
Don't have
never
any
get the
Joe
figure,
Fest.
it's no big deal. Well, that's the killer, right? It might be a Joe Fest. I might not get there early enough. Someone might buy it up, or it might be a Joe Fest. I don't know. But the point is that I've allocated my budget already. I understand that, and you kind of have to let go at that point because it can't burn in the back of your head. Otherwise, it kind of hinders your ability to function. At least it used to hinder my ability to function. And at that point, it's no longer a hobby. It becomes an obsession,
Your hobby can be an obsession too.
Well,
Joe. So Joe Fan quickly says, "I already got my room for Joe Fest 27. Weird how you couldn't book Thursday." Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on with that because Thursday is the only date that is blocked out of all year at that hotel.
maybe they're having another lodge function.
Well, they're supposed to be changing it, so um, setup day is Thursday, so people aren't trying to do it on Friday. He wants to do a whole bunch of stuff for the 10th anniversary.
Ah,
So, but
I don't.
there's something going on, and I don't know if there's just a mess up or whatever. But either way, we'll be there Thursday. I've already started talking to a few people. If for some odd reason that hotel is booked, of us doing something else at a different hotel and then moving over there on Friday.
Well, So next year is going to be my first year actually at a table. Um, Tough Learners Again 24. We talked quite a while with Josh Blaylock. First time I'd ever got to meet both of those guys. You gotta give me a name. Josh Blaylock. He's the writer, yeah? Yes, he's the writer.
I don't know.
Yes, I believe Josh Blaylock is like, I don't know, we didn't talk a lot. I can't remember. If I got a name, I'd be able to tell you. But I do remember Josh Blaylock. I shared a taxi with him. I'm never gonna forget that.
Devils do. Oh, I remember. Okay, I remember that. I knew the name from somewhere. And as soon as you said
Right.
Devils do, I remember it being on.
But I don't have a vivid memory, but I will say this year gave me a lot of vivid Joe Fest memories. Like my gosh. I spoke to more people this year than I have in the last 3-4 years in Joe Fest collectively. This year was really cool. I don't usually get to speak
Yeah,
to
but
everyone.
you were telling us that this is the first time you went alone. Like you weren't going to meet anyone there. Obviously, you
Yeah.
knew that there was going to be people there,
Yeah.
and you told a story about what two women that you've known, right? That they were like, you're like, why don't you come out to dinner with us? Tell everyone like what happened there.
So it's not two women, it was a family.
Family. Okay.
So these guys, I don't Joanna. I know her name is Joanna, and her family. I've been buying 1/18 vintage scale action figures from them since 2023. I met them back in 2023. Her and her husband and her son. Um, it was the last 2 hours of Joe Fest 2023. I was looking for a Destro from the Despoiler with the gold head and the cape and stuff like that. And I found that them and they weren't cleaning up like everybody else was or getting ready to clean up. And I was like, hey, do you have these figures? And they kind of helped me find them. And that's when I was walking around with a prints of my artwork. So I gave them a bunch of prints and they gave me an action figure for free. And now every year when it comes to 1/18 stuff, I always check them first. And we kind of built a little bit of a relationship sort of thing, I suppose. This year, they asked me, well, who was I with? Because every year I come to Joe Fest, I'm with Gaz or Matt or Zazel or Adam or Ken or I'm with somebody. But this year, Ken was like in super business mode for Delta 17. So it was really just me. And they asked me what I was doing for dinner. And I was like, oh, well, I don't know yet. And they said, well, you should come with us. And so it was me. And I went out with these people like I'd never met before in this capacity. So I went out with their family and I ate dinner with them at the Weevil Bull Weevil, something like that. Yeah, and it was just so nice that GI Joe had kind of formed this bridge amongst all of us to the point where it's just like it didn't matter where I was from or what I sounded like. I like GI Joe. I bought stuff from you, and therefore you're welcome at our table. But more than that, I think it's kind of an echo of how I feel about citizens of the United States. I've never met more generous people. I've never met kinder people, you know, and th- they get a lot of flack, but I've never seen any of the things that media has portrayed online to me as being true with the individuals I have interacted with. And because of that, I have to look objectively at the truth of what America represents to me. And then it's the willingness to accept strange people. It's the willingness to not only accept strange people, but allow them at their table, listen to what they have to say, laugh together, and just kind of trust this natural humanity that kind of flows through us. And that was represented very strongly in that night because we ate dinner. And that's kind of how that worked. And that kept happening throughout Joe Fest. On the first night I was there, it was me, Vincent, and another guy. Yeah, I hear stories, right? I hear stories. It was me, Vincent, and another guy I had just met, Mr. Davis, and as I said, it kept happening, and it's good people, at least from what I've seen.
And again, this is one of the reasons why I think this is one of the reasons why I pushed Joe Fest so much. And I've gone to other shows, and I'm not gonna say better or worse, different. But there's something very special about going to Joe Fest. And I keep telling everyone, like, you can go alone. You you could be going and you know absolutely no one. And as you're there, you're going to just start talking to people. Everyone is really accepting. No one's looking to fight. You're all there because you're all part of this nerd culture for GI Joe. It's not like a Comic Con where it's all kinds of different. You're there for one type of toy. Now, yes, there's other things going there, obviously, as GI Joe isn't technically represented, but so many you meet so many good people that are just very inviting. Hey, you know what? Come sit with us.
Yeah.
Don't just interrupt and like push yourself in a conversation, but you hear someone say, "Oh, hey, I heard what you're talking about," and next thing you know, you're in the middle of a conversation with somebody, and then you're creating all these friends. And again, it's easy for me to say because I put myself out. Everyone knows who I am for the most part, so people see me. But there were so many people that I had no idea who they were. So many people said, "Yeah, I just came alone." Rich, you know, GI Bro. His first year, he came like boom.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go from California. That's a long flight.
That's far.
Yeah, especially you're not going there to meet anyone. You had
Yeah.
seen a few guys, online. You're like, I need to show them my guns, which whatever. I guess if your ego is that big, I don't know who has that big of an ego. My head gets bigger. Uh, but that's what I've absolutely loved. So, what is it about Joe Fest? Like, in all honesty, like, what is it that makes you go, I have to go every year? And Kelly Slaughter's daughter jumping in and saying, hey, nice shirt, Hans.
Hey, Kelly. You know what's crazy? I think, okay, yes, Ken is really cool as well. I
Well, let's not
enjoy
get
Ken.
crazy.
So I think what it is from a psychological standpoint, everybody feels safe with things that are familiar, right? And my first feeling for Joe Fest when I first went in 2023 was everybody here likes GI Joe. So at the very least, there's that one commonality. And I said this at the table that I was with you guys, is that human beings have more in common than we actually do have that are different from one another. And liking GI Joe is a safe anchor for everyone to kind of move around with. And GI Joe is an old enough property where the media exposure is not so divisive, where you have so many different writers and so many different producers and so many different forms of media coming out constantly and bombarding people, to the point where you can actually divide GI Joe fans into like two tribes, and it's an easy tribe, is like the ones who love it and the ones who love it, and that's it. That's pretty much it, right? And if you go to Joe Fest, you're gonna encounter one or the other, and because of the way we work, that familiarity of, I don't know if this is a hate love person or a love person, so I'll act like a love person. And because you act like a love person, if the person you're speaking to is a love person, they resonate. And if they're a hate love person and they say you're acting like a love person, they're going to show the love side more. But if you hang out longer, they might show you a little bit of the hate to season the thing as well. But everybody proceeds with caution. And I think that that builds a very healthy atmosphere. And I also think that it is what you put in. And if everybody's only ever putting in love for whatever property or media it is, you're only going to get it in return. To actually get somebody to fight over something actually takes proper ignorance and proper, like, provocation, and that doesn't happen. We aren't as young as we used to be. I know people who used to get into fist fights over whether Wolverine could beat up Superman and stuff like that, right? And we're not into that stuff
I
anymore.
love Wolverine, but he's not beating up Superman.
Well, the point is right, exactly, yeah. But people will argue it, and they'll argue it to death. But we don't do that anymore. You'll be like, "Well, I like Snake Eyes." It's like, "Well, I don't really like Snake Eyes too much, but bless you, I prefer Storm Shadow." Okay, cool. And that's the end of the whole conversation, and we carry on because once again, the media is not digging into it the way that they dig into other properties. I hear Transformers conventions are a little different, because people are very passionate about Transformers. You have the G1 fans and the Beast Wars fans and this and the other, and they section them off. And the more tribal people are, and the more divisions there are, the less likely a positive experience is going to be had because things are so chopped up. But GI Joe's, as I said, it's only two tribes, and even one of the tribes shares something in common with the other. So it's, as I said, it's just generally been a positive experience, and I think it always will be a positive experience until the next big GI Joe thing happens, and then we'll fight about that next, and then you'll see a new tribe pop up, but I doubt it. We got the Snake Eyes movie pop up, and I think everybody had something to say about that. And that was the end of it.
Yeah, I just, again, when it comes to Joe Fest and the fact that they're not represented by Hasbro there, I understand where Hasbro is coming from, but I also don't understand. I just wish Hasbro didn't live in a world where things have to be shrouded in us protecting everything. Like, dude, these are GI Joe fans. Send your GI Joe team there. People would eat it up, but we have so many other wonderful properties. Big Bad Toy Store, Big Bad Workshop is always there. Skeletron, Delta 17. We're getting all these smaller properties, but the people that go there, and I mentioned this before, and maybe you've noticed this before. I noticed this last year, and within my third year, the people upstairs in the lobby, if you look at them, they're most of the older guys that are into the O-ring stuff. They're not the YouTube generation, and we're all the same age. But I mean, older guys as they've been going to conventions longer. They've
Right.
they've been collecting the O-ring. A lot of them aren't into classified. Those are the people upstairs. Downstairs by the bar and everything, this is where you see the classified collectors, the YouTubers, right? The people that are doing stuff for like this generation. And again, I collect O-ring stuff, so I'm obviously not dogging them. But a lot of the people upstairs, and I remember talking to them, and they look at a lot of them, they go to assembly required, and they look at assembly required as their get together the same way myself, Tony, Ed, we look at Joe Fest. Like that is our 1 year, like that is at least the one time a year we're all able to get together as the friends that we are and hang out for 5 days. And no one's there to have a bad time. I keep telling people if you have a bad time at Joe Fest, technically if you have a bad time at any convention, but at Joe Fest, it's on you. You've chosen to have a bad time.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Because if you're around someone you don't like, just go to someone else.
Just move.
Not everyone gets along.
As I said before, the atmosphere is always so welcoming at Joe Fest. There was one year where it was a little rough, but once again, it's the same concept that you just pitched. If you don't like it, just move. Just go somewhere else. Then no one's holding you there at gunpoint to stay near to anybody. But even so, as I said, it was a very welcoming convention. And Hasbro not showing up, I think, is once again I go to that, I don't know if GI Joe is like the reliable son. He's always there for you.
Yeah.
He's always doing your job. You tell him what to do and he'll do it. That's GI Joe. He's not the reckless kid like Transformers or whatever. Transformers is the reckless kid who tries a bunch of crazy stuff, but don't worry, Transformers, we forgive you. You can't do anything wrong, But GI Joe never gets a pat on the head. It doesn't get the representation from Hasbro. And I'm not dogging them per se. I'm glad that GI Joe is kind of like the foundation. It's an excellent legacy franchise, etc. And it doesn't get the attention that the other franchises get. And the reason why is because it doesn't need the attention. It's always had a very robust following in us, and I think it will continue to do so simply because it's something that I can't relate to the 50-foot tall robot that transforms into a jet. I can't. I never will be able to. But I can relate to the dude who has no superpowers but does his best and fights for what he believes in. I can't stick to walls. I'll never, I'll never be able to wield a saber made of light. I don't have any of those things. But
wait. That's not get crazy. I'm still waiting for my lightsaber to show up. All right.
The humanity behind GI Joe, whether we like it or not, it resonates with audiences. The average Joe doing the best that they can, and I think Hasbro themselves, they don't know how to. How do you say that being normal and doing your best is perfectly acceptable in a society that demands a level of perfection, which is not possible? How do you
Batman.
advertise that properly?
Batman.
He's rich. Like crazy rich. That's not normal.
Okay, but he's not a hero. Like he's not a superhero. That's what I mean. Like he has no superpowers.
I think anybody that can bang Catwoman is a superhero to me. That is anybody who can.
All right,
I'm on board for a woman with cat ears and a tail who licks herself. Oh, please. He's a superhero.
I walked into that one. Catwoman. Wait, the Catwoman, she has a tail?
Yes.
She has ears?
Yes.
Is she...
It's a suit. She's not a furry. She's not a furry. It's a suit. It has to be stuck on and can't come off. You know what I mean? Tigra, that's a furry. Cheetah, that's a furry. And I'll die on that rock. All right? I'll die on that hill.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm going to be the cat girl guy.
Okay, so I want you to remember this. Okay, I mentioned Gaz, right? And because of Gaz, we have this.
Fucking Phil Collins.
We at Joe Fest are not going to get your furry obsession.
That's fine. It's fine. Just buy my book. It'll make it up to me. You can make fun of my furriness, quote unquote, as long as you support me financially. Make fun of me all you want, as long as I can afford diapers and food for my children.
So when it comes to like your collecting, what is it that you're into collecting? Is there anything specific, or are you all over the place?
So it's mostly GI Joe. I collect a little bit of Marvel Legends, which you see on that shelf there.
Yes,
To my immediate left is Star Wars. I have
you mentioned Rogue getting spit roasted, but I don't think you mentioned by who.
Oh, it was who's on the shelf? It was Gambit and I think it was Iron Man. Yeah.
You're like, that's hilarious. Oh my god.
What's even worse is he put is like on a separate occasion he put White Queen. I don't know how to call it, but there's a type of dancing. What's it called again? Twerking. Right. He put twerking. Right. So he put White Queen twerking on Gambit, and like he posed Rogue next to them, like cussing them out. It's just like at this point it's a joke, but at the same time, stop it. There's drama on my toy shelf now.
I mentioned on another stream with somebody. I go, I'm pretty sure that Scarlet, CoverGirl, Baroness, Lady J have all 69'd every single G.I. Joe figure, including each other at some point as a kid. All right. I'm just saying.
Okay. So the same friend, the same
like it's becoming the same friend.
Well, he is my best friend. We've been friends ever since we met. He's also an artist, ironically. Um, we made a pact when we were 15 years old, and it's
It
and
was the spit roast every female action figure you get.
no, wrong with you people. No, the pact was we would never use our superpowers for evil, right? So artists, right? Traditionally, when you're trying to pay your bills, you'll always have a guy who comes up and asks you to draw something and not safe for work or draw something lewd or whatever. But we made a promise to each other that no matter what we did for a living, we'd never use our art for evil. And I will say this. When I was in my 30s and now kind of starting off my commissions career, if I drew every single furry banging scene that I was asked to draw, I would have a substantially larger amount of money. And later on, if I drew everything to do with feet that everybody asked me to draw, I would have way, way, way more money. So I can say this very safely is like all the money that I've earned through art has been so through, not appealing to humans' base desires. So and hopefully, not as far as I know, my buddy's kept the same thing. Now that doesn't extend to the bloody action figures in the back there. He keeps faffing with them and fine, they're toys. They're supposed to be played with, but oh my gosh.
I told you, my buddy, that we had to take the pad of paper away because I can't tell you how many times Yoda was blowing Darth Vader. He had this fascination with drawing bears doing things together, and it'd be a whole sheet, and you're like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, I just want to know the score of the fucking card game we're playing. All right, like, you can at least, I mean, you can't do like, give us the fucking pad of paper. You're no longer doing this anymore."
I think you've frozen on my screen. Oh yeah, we've caught up. There you
Oh,
go.
did I freeze?
Oh yeah, you froze up. Then the last one.
It's just like, just come on. We just want to keep score. You can draw on your own. Um, so when it comes to your kids and with your collecting, do you spoil them?
Oh yeah, guilty. My kids, my daughter collects kind of like a schizophrenic. So she was on Barbie and then she was on this and then she was on that. So she got a little bit of everything. But now as she's getting older, she's starting to streamline into like blockies, Lego, um, and like stuffed animals. So whatever she wants there, she gets. My son is very much any toy that can stretch. So those I can't remember what they're called. Gujitsu. He loves gujitsu. He loves blockies like sorry, my daughter. And he also that's very
You
Alabama.
said enough about your sister already.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he enjoys Lego, but only like the minifigures. But recently he's been getting into like superheroes a lot. So he's been like the Marvel Legends figures I have there, he's into that. He's starting to
Can
get
I
into
ask what age they are?
Oh, my daughter is 11 years old. She's now entering secondary school. And my son is 8 years old, going on
Okay,
9. So at the end of the year, they'll be 12 and 9, respectively.
that's how
Um,
math works.
it is true. It increases every year. Nobody gets younger. I wish we did. That's why I'm trying to forget my age. Once you cross 40, it's like, whatever. Just, you know,
Well, as I
give me something
recently
for the pain
said,
and then let me die, you know?
well, as I recently said, well, you're 47, you said. So unfortunately, you're almost 50. But until I turn 55, I will be almost 50. So when someone says how old you are when I'm 53, I'll be like, I'm almost 50. And then when they press me, I'm like 53, and they're like, you said you're almost 50. Yes, you know how to round, right? Once I hit 55, well, then I'm fucked because then I'm almost 60.
So I keep myself in pretty good shape, and God has blessed me enough that I have very few gray hairs, despite my age. And the kids I used to teach are always shocked when they find out how old I am. Um, they're very confused at it, and I just said, listen, don't drink, don't do drugs, exercise, drink your water, and friggin' moisturize. You'll be immortal. All right, and that's it. That's the recipe. That's all I do. Just do those things. Eat your vegetables so that you poop properly, and that's it.
Poop. Everybody poops.
Yes, but the difficulty increases as you get older, at least in my side of the fence. So the diet had to change quite a bit. And now I have to eat all the things that grow on the ground that aren't eaten by the things that I prefer to eat, which is unfortunate. But you know what? Whores will have their trinkets, as they used to say. So, and that's one of the trinkets I must have as a whore. I must eat my vegetables.
So, are you doing anything online? Do you do anything on YouTube? Like, do you do anything on Instagram?
So on Instagram, I post artwork. I'm actually sitting on a whole wealth of artwork right now that I really should be posting, but it's like a combination of laziness and fear that stops me from putting it up. I also read audiobooks on my Patreon. And YouTube, I'm thinking about doing a YouTube channel where I just put the audiobooks up. I asked my patrons if they're okay with it, and they were like, yeah, sure, no problem. Just make sure we get it first. And I said, no problem. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now with regards to online presence. I do enjoy reading. I love reading. Less than
Research says, yeah, I just started my final year of being less than half a millennium old.
So yeah, I enjoy reading, and I think well, my kids at least, they love when I read to them, and I can do all the voices and stuff, and if I put up a few samples on Instagram of what I sound like when I read as well. But nothing too crazy. I mean, I brought a whole file of art to show on the stream if you wanted to see it. But
Sure. I want to ask so quick. You mentioned something that you do voice acting.
I do, yeah.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the voice acting because we've got to hear a little bit of your voices, but one was just imitating your dad. One was imitating a pompous British who's probably still pissed off that we're our own free country.
Oh, the colonists are rebelling again. Good God. Anyway.
As when we talk about certain things being traitors, and they're like, well, technically the U.S. flag is a traitor's flag. I'm like, no, it's not, because we won.
Exactly.
If we lost,
if we
then
lost,
it's a traitor's flag. Once you win, it's no longer a traitor's flag.
you get to choose if you win.
Yes, that's right. Like, not my fault you couldn't beat us.
It sound like sore loser language to me, and it definitely is. Yeah. But I got into voice acting when I was 18 years old. I got called to do an advertisement for milk. I think it was milk. It was nothing too illustrious or whatever, but after that they started to call me back for more and more roles. And eventually I just did a lot of advertising and a lot of everything. And then I got asked if I could do the radio voice, which is a lot like this. You kind of do this radio voice. Tune in for another half hour of music sponsored by Republic Bank. And you start to do that voice, and then they're like, right, would you like a job? And I say, of course, every Thursday night I'll sit here and play music for you while talking along on your drive home. And then you do voice acting, and that's just kind of what happened. I always wanted to be like, do something cool like Batman or something, but we don't have Batman in Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay, but hold on. So you're doing voice acting and you're doing like radio voice. They wanted you to come on and do that because you can create that rather than the voice that you have.
Yeah.
Now, is the voice that you have, is it not unique where you're at?
Yeah, everybody sounds like this. That's not true. Some people don't have very
Your dad
good.
does not. You've made that
My
clear.
dad does not. My mom doesn't have it either. She sounds kind of Frenchy.
We say she's French Canadian.
She's French Canadian. She has a kind of, but the French would be upset to hear that I find she's got a French accent.
Well, yeah, but the French are mad about everything. Remember
yeah,
that.
like the people from Nova Scotia are not French. They get upset. But okay, Trinidadians are notoriously bad with regards to our accents. I speak very clearly, but a lot of Trinidadians tend to eat their words, which means that their mouth does not move properly when they talk. and therefore when they talk, they sound more like this. They kind of swallow any word, and you see, it kind of becomes difficult to understand because they don't move their mouth. There's no enunciation. Um, so in Trinidad, if they find someone who's able to express and speak and illiterate properly, then that person might have a job in radio. So I worked there for a while. So every Thursday, I would do music. I would play music and talk alongside. What's it called? Back in the day, where they used to take callers and stuff like that.
Drive time.
Yeah, like a drive time, a drive home kind of thing. And that's kind of what I've been up to. And then I got called to do like just random things from people. So in addition to advertisements, I would do things like, "Thank you for calling B Mobile. Please dial 1 for your," and you do the voice message person. And then it is voice acting. It is work. As I said, it
Yeah.
buys diapers and food. But as I said, what I've always really wanted to do is like character stuff, which the audiobook thing lets me do. I get to, be Conan, or be, sometimes I get to be a girl or whatever it is, it's just,
So you actually change your voice when you're doing
the
these
audiobook.
readings.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I try to go for immersion as much as I can, but I will say that it's hard to do girl voices, so I tend to pitch myself up, and I have to drink an awful lot of water when I do it, because like doing that kind of high pitch voice, "Oh, Conan," it gets, and you sound stupid when you do it until you kind of tinker with it in the software, and then you soften your voice and you raise the pitch and you realize, "Oh, I sound beautiful." And then you kind of go with that, yeah. But yeah, it is kind of the outlet. It doesn't pay all that much, but I'm glad to be able to provide my patrons with some degree of something. And I've offered the files up for download. I promised Dom from Toy Domination a copy of the readings as well, because he loves audiobooks, and as I said, he's a Joe Fest dude, Joe Fest regular, and he's a good guy. So I think
He's a great guy.
I'd love to offer it to him, and I told him the next time I'm there, I'll send it to him. I'll give him a copy, because and that's kind of what I do with my voice. That, and whenever I read like storybooks for my kids, I do all the voices for them as well. And what can I say? They love it at their school during their school story hour, because they're now coming out of primary school. I go and I read stories to them too, to their classmates, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It's that talent hasn't manifested huge amounts of money yet. I mean, aside from advertising and working in radio, but hopefully, maybe one day it will. Maybe one day I'll, you know.
So Darren is asking, Hans, is it easier when you stand or does it matter? I do it better when I stand up. I guess it stretches the diaphragm.
So, yes, I do find if you stretch the diaphragm, it does feel better. And certainly you can hear it. If I talk like this, it's one thing, but if I talk like this, it's another thing, right? You get more, the air flows better. And I learned that trick from singing, right? Because, I was in a choir once, and you learn is this, "Ride on King Jesus," and "Ride on King Jesus." It has two different tones. So you raise your head when you do the thing, so the microphone comes up to here, and it goes, and then you speak. I can do a little bit of it, actually. Why not? We're here. We're doing all the things. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Wonderful. Come on, don't be like that. Open. Oh, there we go.
But I think I find it absolutely amazing. Like, I did not realize I heard your voice, and I truly did believe like that was you. I'll be 100% honest. One of my biggest issues is I'm way too honest. I was like, I don't really like that guy. Like, he's projecting his voice. You can tell that it's fake.
What?
Well, again, this is I see you every now and then. I'm hearing you at the first Joe Fest. Like, I didn't know, right? And listen, it's not the first time that you've judged a book by not the first time I've judged a book by what I thought was the cover, right? And I was completely wrong. That's why, like, when I get like I talk to you, I'm like, you are one of the most genuine people, right? Like you are
Thank
completely
you.
like you who you are. And that's why I was like, is that really your voice?
It
You know,
it is my voice.
I know it is. I believe you now.
Yeah, now after speaking to me for a while, but it's
I still think you sound like an
I
18-year-old.
I I don't sound like this when I talk to my wife, when we're in bed, I call her Huggy Bear and stuff like that. Cute things, but when I talk to people, this is genuinely what I sound like. So this is a book I'm working on right now. I could raise this up and then just read like one paragraph. If anybody recognizes it, fantastic. If not, well, whatever. Chapter 1: An Unexpected Party. In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit. Not a nasty, dirty, wet hole filled with the ends of worms and an oozy smell, nor yet a dry, bare, sandy hole with nothing in it to sit down on or to eat. It was a hobbit hole, and that means comfort. And that's the kind of the voice that you do when you read the thing. And then when you, of course, encounter the characters, so say for Gandalf, you change your voice slightly. So if you reach Bilbo, for example, "Good morning," said Bilbo, and he meant it. The sun was shining and the grass was very green. But Gandalf looked at him from under long bushy eyebrows that stuck out further than the brim of his shady hat. "What do you mean?" he said. "Do you wish me a good morning, or do you mean that this is a good morning whether I want it or not? Or that you feel good this morning? Or that it is a morning to be good on?" And so you kind of change the voice a little bit as you go to kind of, as I said, kind of pull kids in because as I said, we're losing a lot. Children don't write anymore. They don't read as much as they used to. So to pull them in and change the voice. And then what's crazy is that when I do this to the kids in the school, I see them doing the mimicry as well. They'll mimic each other's voices. And it's kind of heartwarming because I think a lot of kids are forgetting how to play. And that's one thing that we do still that they don't. We play more than they do.
They play in different ways, and it's hard for me to accept that playing video games, especially uh not Fortnite, Minecraft. When you look at Minecraft, they are building
I
the
like
bases.
Minecraft. No, that's one of the few games I let my kids play. Build.
But that's what I'm saying. Like when I watched my son when he was younger and playing it, you're looking at it, it's like
This is cool.
the only difference between what he's doing and what I did as a kid playing with G.I. Joe was I was physically doing it, destroying my knees, and the cleanup is much easier on on a computer or video game system, whatever it was. But you really, I mean, it really is teaching them to play.
Yeah.
But there is a difference. There is something special about being on the ground and having your toys out there and moving things around and seeing something and how. But for me, that's kind of where when I'm trying to learn how to do photography and take pictures. Like same thing. When I first started taking pictures, I'd spend all this time getting these great poses, and I wanted to do the whole thing. And I remember Matthew like, "You have to zoom in." I'm like, "Well, what about this awesome knee position?" And he's like, "No one cares about that," and he's absolutely right. And again, you see a lot of people. They'll do the photography. They'll do these awesome up close shots, and then the final shot they show you how everything looks. And a lot of it is, I think sometimes it's, "Hey, this is what I was working with." And the other times it's like, "Motherfucker, look how good I spent. You got this guy, he's on 1 foot. You didn't even see that he's on 1 foot, not using stupid stand."
There's a lot of, as I said before, you have to enjoy it. So if you enjoy the big vista, do the vista. If you enjoy the close-ups, do the close-up. There's merit to all of it. I don't think
Yeah.
I'm not a diorama guy. I wish I was, but I mean maybe one day, but as I said before, it's whatever you can do to get your hands working on
Yes.
Tactile things that are tactile, because that hand-eye coordination situation, like balancing action figures and all that sort of thing, as kids we learned how to do that, how to the light touch, the sleight of hand. We need Duke to stand, so we figure out how to do it. and kids don't really do that these days, and I'm kind of glad that I play with toys because it helps my kids kind of to understand that kind of coordination. There's a play doesn't exist in every culture only as a form of recreation. It's also a form of teaching. Yeah, and I think that I just hope that it continues on. I don't know if it will beyond like maybe my kids and your kids generation. I really hope it does, but we'll have to see. Because
I,
if we lose that, then we're going to lose what's happening essentially with the people who no longer write anything down, because the activity of actually writing something, even in block letters or cursive, involves an area of the brain which in newer kids is being shown as being devolved or devolving rather.
yeah, I think everything just it evolves in many ways,
Yeah.
but I am definitely on board with what you're saying. And you know, I'm not an artist. Um, I think we've established that. And for me, I hate this AI. Now, AI has a purpose, but these people that are creating stuff going, look what I made. You didn't make anything. You told a fucking computer what to do, and the computer made it by looking over the internet and putting together what it thought you liked. That is not art. That is not talent. Now, Baldy, Circle of Jerks, he talks about how he'll use AI for a base, and then he goes in and he tweaks things, he changes things. That I understand. And if you're doing it as a joke, right? There are people that create AI pictures as a joke. Um, and sometimes they're funny, but some of these people are very serious about how great it looks. And again, if you like it, awesome. To me, it's not you're not creating it. Maybe you're tweaking some things, but and people might get mad at me when I say it's kind of like synthesized music, right? Like, I'm sorry, that's
Like
not
auto
really,
tune. Yeah.
yeah, it's not. Anyway, I'm sure I've insulted somebody. Now,
So
Darren says, "Can you please teach Punk to do this? He needs whatever help you can give." I'm not really sure what he's talking about. If he's talking about how you read, I'm not a strong reader. If you're talking about voices, I don't think I try and do voices.
well, reading, I teach kids to read, and some of the kids are dyslexic and stuff like that. And the only trick that I can give anybody is, if you're reading and you're not a confident reader, stop trying to read fast, slow down. So if Hans had to voice a Joe, who would it be? As opposed to, if Hans had to voice a Joe, who would it be? You see, immediately you start to stumble. So just slow down.
Oh yeah.
Read better.
Oh, I'll be bad no matter what.
Oh,
If I spend too much time, then I start overthinking it.
well, that's a different thing.
I'm not a strong reader. I've never been a strong reader, and I will readily admit it. But Todd C says, if Hans had to voice a Joe, who would it be? Now, first off, we've already heard you can do Storm Shadow. You can do Snake Eyes. We all can.
Everybody can do Snake Eyes.
You might be able to do what would be. Who would you do? Like, who would you? What would be? I guess what would be your dream? Joe or Cobra, both to do.
Tunnel Rat for GI Joe. That's an easy one.
Why?
Or
Why? What would you think his voice would be?
I would. He's Trinidadian. I would do my own voice.
Okay.
I do two things for this team. I blow things up, and I sneak into places. That's what I do. That's kind of because I think he was born in New York, so I'd give it the same Trinidadian accent with a small New York spin. It kind of, I'm walking here. You give him that slight kind of tinge to it, but you keep his accents, still Trinidadian. I actually asked Larry Hama why Tunnel Rat was Trinidadian. It's because when Larry Hama had a friend named Charlie Chin who was Trinidadian, and I did a little bit of research, and Charlie Chin is a relative of my cousin David Chin. So, but I mean, he's dead now. But the point is still, as I said, it's 1.2 to 1.5 million people here. It's easy to find links, right? So, if I had to do a Cobra, I would probably do Zartan. I would love to do Zartan.
Now, would you like to do that? Could you feel like you'd be changing the voice all the time?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd be changing the voice constantly. Just a gem of that size answers all my questions. I could modulate now, which is you technically would get to play everybody if you play Zartan. Yes,
So
I
Kate
agree with
Jorgensen says
Miss
writing
York.
physically and writing letters, pen and paper, do open a creative part of the brain.
It's true. The neuroplasticity of the human brain is important to exercise throughout your life. It staves off a lot of late stage dementia and stuff. I could do quick kick, is true. I could probably also play quick kick in a movie.
I think that would be kind of fun because now I'm thinking of Quick Kick and how he acted and talked in the cartoon, and I could definitely see you doing it because he did do those voices.
I,
But see, okay, so this right here. So Nolan says, I think Hans could do a good Spirit. Here's the problem with this day and age. There are some people that look at as you are stereotyping how somebody would sound by their culture, which I think is absolutely ridiculous, right? I think is absolutely ridiculous, but there would be people that would be offended by that because people are looking to be offended every day, right? Like people are looking to be offended. They're waiting to be offended by something.
I would do an amazing Spirit, but it would definitely be the accent you're thinking of. But I would love that though.
And I bet most people would too, but there'd be that one person.
Fuck them. Sorry.
Hey, I don't care. Go for it.
It's only when the last tree has died and the last river has been poisoned and the last fish been caught will we realize we cannot eat money. Just this kind of, this wise chieftain kind of thing. Is like, Billy, you ain't scared of nothing. We're all gonna die here. You do I would do that. I would love to.
Wait. You just went Predator, didn't you?
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that. Like,
hell no, there's not. Predator's awesome.
Damn right. Predator's I just watched Predator legitimately about 4 days ago. Whenever I'm drawing, I put Predator on the other screen, and there it is.
Yeah, and when you read the back, like when you watch and hear the backstory, that they actually had
disposable asset, just like the rest of us.
Well, the fact that they hired bodyguards for Billy, the guy that played Billy, not to protect him, but to protect people from him getting in fights with.
Yeah.
MCR Mazza, you are absolutely correct.
Predator is a
masterpiece. I remember my dad taking me to see that movie at the theater.
How old were you?
Came out, I think, in 87.
Oh, I don't know.
This is what I remember, and I will never forget this. We're watching it, and remember the part when Jesse gets killed, and they level the forest. They level the forest there. My dad goes, anyone want to build a house here? I'm young, and I just remember this other guy like next to my dad or just laughing, like, and I didn't understand. Now I watch it, and that's every time I see that part, I always think like someone should build a house there.
Predator's a fantastic movie. It still stands up now. I did myself the disservice of watching all the Predator movies in a row, and Predator 2. It's worse when you watch it with all the others. I don't know.
You mean the one with Danny Glover?
Danny Glover, yeah.
I'm not a fan of that movie.
I don't think anybody really is. It was almost like a satire of a Predator movie, and it is,
3-star says we saw Predator in the theater too, and RoboCop. Man, that was a good summer.
I'm like Bane with regards to these movies. I was. What was it? You were born by the R-rated movie. I didn't see an R-rated movie until I was a man. I was like 20 when I saw these movies because you guys, like, my father didn't want me to play Dungeons and Dragons. So, I mean, for me to see Predator Are you mad? No, it's like, I didn't see it. I must have been easily 17, 18, 19, 20, somewhere around there. You know, it's like,
Yeah,
as I said, you could love it, it's no problem. But I mean, you put it comparatively to the rest of them, it's,
well,
not including AVP. AVP was a crazy mess.
listen, some of the Predator movies are not really good. They may
No,
be fun, but it doesn't make them good.
correct.
You know,
Yes, absolutely.
and you
But
can enjoy them. Like again, you can enjoy a movie that isn't great. Not every movie is The Godfather. Not every movie is The Sixth Sense, right? But you can sit back and enjoy it
absolutely.
for what it is.
What is the purpose of a movie if not to be enjoyed? And then at that point, once you, I mean, my rating scale, when you're younger, you're quite ignorant about these things. You think, okay, well, you
Oh yeah,
know, we're gonna be like, okay, we're gonna give it a scale of 1 to 10. If the acting is good, it gets a 1 point. Because they're gonna bring it again. Nowadays, if I enjoyed it, it gets a 5, and then everything else is just sauce on top. But when you're young, you think it's so pretentious and weird. But
you
it's
know,
like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna say something that's gonna upset people. But
my
like Christopher
ex.
Nolan, for example, like, oh my gosh, some of his movies are, and people worship the ground he walks on, but some of those movies I never want to see again. That, oh, it's brilliant and beautifully shot.
Interstellar,
Huh?
Interstellar.
Oh my gosh. Interstellar is one of those movies. You know it's a good movie. You know if you say it that you didn't enjoy it, you'll be burned outside the cinema on a cross. But I came out of Interstellar thinking to myself, fuck, you know?
Inception. I watched Inception and I went, I hate this movie. And then
Yeah.
someone was like, you just didn't understand it. And I was like,
Yes, I didn't.
no, I understood it. I just didn't like it.
That
Um,
that was me. I got it, but why? I don't care. You know,
yeah. Again, like you can like something and something can be good and you still not like it.
it
And
felt like
something can be
over.
bad and you like it. You
Yeah,
know?
as I said, there's no accounting for taste, but Christopher Nolan's movies are, and I know the man is brilliant, but at the same time, he's not for me. Because when I go to a movie, my objective is to enjoy myself, and I don't enjoy his movies. I don't.
So here it is. Inception had cool visuals.
Yes, and a
Yes.
wonderful story, but I didn't enjoy it.
Okay. Another movie that this is not Nolan. Sinners. Did you see Sinners?
All Sinners.
I hated Sinners. Because and someone said you're not into storytelling. I'm like, no, I didn't need that much storytelling. The end is awesome. I love the build up. I love I love the fact of what Sinners is. I didn't need 2 fucking hours of explaining leading up to the fucking violence. Like
it's 2 hours.
it was like an hour and a half of
Oh, it
just
was long.
it was
I
look,
didn't.
see, look, them guts said the same thing. It went on way too long.
I loved a lot of Sinners, about at least 70% of it.
I
But
love
I
the story.
right. So what that comment says, I agree. I think I don't know if it should have won as many awards as it did, but it
Yeah.
certainly was not a bad movie. Certainly wasn't, at least not to me. But once again, what do I know?
And people loved it. But it was funny because my buddy that I do another show with, I watched it and he had brought it up to me and he's like, what did you think of it? And I go, it was too long. There was too much telling the story of getting from point A to point B. He goes, thank you. He goes, all these people are raving and they're mad at me when I'm saying I couldn't stand it. I like the idea. The concept is awesome. I love that type of concept. You're mixing two genres, right? It's like Operation Monster Force. You're mixing these genres, but sometimes, as I said earlier, sometimes less is more.
Yes, you have to be. You can't hold your audience hostage for 3 hours, right? I do
Yeah.
think that there's a downside to that. There's some movies, where and I'm gonna use a bad example. Jurassic Park 2, right? So Jurassic. Oh, okay. Let's go for a better example. You know what? Let's stay with Jurassic Park 2 because your facial expression says that you feel things
I
about
was
that.
never a fan of the Jurassic Parks
Right.
in
So
general.
Jurassic Park 2 started off on the island and it ended up with a T-Rex in a city. I love that shit
Okay.
because I didn't see it coming at all. I felt the same way about Rogue One. Rogue One started off with a bunch of dudes doing a bunch of stuff, and then it ended up with a space battle, and I was just pissing myself with glee. And Sinners, I didn't know what Sinners was about,
I didn't
right?
either. I
So
didn't either.
I went in blind, just knowing that Michael B. Jordan was hot. And then I watched the whole movie and it had two of him, so it was twice as hot as everybody else. And then it ended like Blade. And I was like, what more could I want? You know what I mean? So that's great for me. Those were entertaining movies for me because the escalation towards the climax of every single show, I didn't know where it was going, and I enjoy that kind of surprise. Yeah, I felt the same way about some of the Marvel movies, but a lot of the slow burn style movies, I don't really enjoy. The ones that the people who consider themselves to be intellectual, they think that those are the I don't for the same reason I don't enjoy talking negative about people behind their backs because I have enough drama in my life. I've come to the theater to entertain myself, you know?
Now, Crow says Oppenheimer, the Nolan movie I skipped. I died of boredom in the theater. I'm a little confused. If you skipped it, how did you die of boredom in the theater?
Boy,
Like,
I,
I'm see if it's something based on a true story, I will probably watch it. And to a point. Now, we went. I don't remember what movie it was. It was a World War II piece. It was uh it was a true story about the rise of the Nazi Party, and uh, one of the few people that helped um, try and
Produce?
assassinate. What?
Oh, Valkyrie, Project Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Olivia, my daughter, if she went and saw certain movies that were based on a true story, she got um, she got extra credit for it. And I really did not know the story of it. So we went and saw it at the movie theater, and I was like, and at the beginning, they're like, this is made to be seen in the movie theater. Thank you. The same way that they did for Top Gun 2.
Top Gun
Top
2
Gun
was
2 needed to be seen in a movie theater. This movie was one of those, hey, it's Saturday. I want to know the story of this. I
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
need to
yeah,
see it at the
yeah.
movie theater.
As I said, there are some movies which are designed to kind of get certain reactions, right? Every movie is designed to get a certain reaction. And sometimes when I go to the cinema, I'm not looking for that feeling. So I unfortunately I don't enjoy whatever it is. But Christopher Nolan, as I said before, a brilliant director, amazing. And I've never made a movie, and that's always the. If I was to say that to the man's face, he'd probably be the guy to be like, "Well, you've never made a movie," and you know what? He'd be right. I never have, but I don't think that that's a valid comeback, bro. You know what I
You know
mean?
what? I've also never played hockey, but I can criticize things that I don't like or when someone isn't good, or basketball, right?
It's
Like,
true. I'm
I
allowed to have.
mean, there are you can criticize just because you didn't do something. And I also understand the point of view of like, hey, like I've said it with skateboarding. Like, there'll be certain pros that I can't stand watching, and the first thing that a skateboarder will say to me, especially a younger one, well, can you do any of that? It has nothing to do with it. I hate watching their style because I think it's ugly.
Ugly. It's boring. It
Yeah.
lacks something. Yeah. I
Yes.
understand. It's like watching the Germans play football. Some people don't like the way they play because it's boring, but it's very effective and it
You
makes them.
meant soccer.
Huh?
You meant
Yeah, yeah,
soccer.
yeah. Well, I mean, well, for you all call it soccer, but that's just football. You know. But yeah,
Okay, first off, Nolan, listen, I don't care if you make a Toy Tube official. Iron Eagle was fun. Top Gun is fucking awesome. And Top Gun 2 might have been even better, but he said hot gun. I think he meant Top Gun.
Never watched top. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like as I said, you like what you like, and sometimes some movies that you're just in the right mood, and the movie will be amazing. Some movies you're in the wrong mood, and the best movie just won't resonate, and that's just the way some things are.
Oh
And
yeah.
I guess that's kind of like life. I mean, my wife wanted to watch Extraction with what's his name again? Thor.
As my ex calls him, the god of hotness,
Yes, the God of Hotness, Chris Hemsworth. That's
Chris
his name.
Hemsworth.
Thank you. You said God of Hotness, and it clicked in my head, Hemsworth. Anyway, Hemsworth, and that's the kind of movie that I would love to pieces, but I was just in the wrong mood when we first put it on. I was like, oh, I hated it, and when I watched it again, I loved it. So
And you know what? There are some movies that are like that where you watch, or maybe you didn't want to see it. I did not want to see Something About Mary. I didn't like Ben Stiller at the time. I'm like, this doesn't look funny. Then I finally saw it and I went, I wish I would have seen this in the movie theater.
yeah,
The Matrix, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. And we used to have these dollar shows. And finally, my buddy was like, it had already been out for quite some time. He's like, let's just go. It's $1. And a dollar show usually meant there'd be like maybe 20 people in the theater. This was standing room only. And I remember watching it and I said, thank you, because this was one of those ones
yeah,
that I would have been upset had I missed it on the big screen.
yeah. Matrix was a Matrix one, the first one. That
Oh,
was
yeah,
a
one. I'm not talking about the other ones.
that was crazy good when I first saw it as well.
It changed so much.
It did change a lot of everything for filmmaking, and I think the Wachowskis, I mean, bless them for putting that out, and whoever funded them, Warner Brothers or whoever it was. But as I said, we we were, and I'm sure this comes as no surprise, but those who lived through the prime '90s and the early 2000s, we really saw a revolution in the way films were made, and I think that we were spoiled by some of the movies that came out during that era. I mean,
I agree.
I mean,
Because
there.
you're watching the evolution of stuff.
Oh yeah, we saw.
And I mean, going back to Star Wars, and when you look at Star Wars, it changed movie making. It changed so much stuff. And I talk to a lot of the younger kids skateboarding, and I go, I know that the skate videos now are 10 times better than the late 80s and early 90s. But let me explain something to you. The progression that we saw in those videos is leaps and bounds over anything anyone will ever see again, because everything is now instantaneous. So we see it online, we see it right away. We were waiting a year to see a video. So by the time we're seeing these videos, these guys are already done doing these tricks. They're on to something else. We were part of this, just these leaps and bounds. Computers the same way, right? Like, boy, did we see how computers took leaps and bounds. TVs, right?
The saying, it's another Asian saying, and it goes like, just because the last strike from the hammer broke the stone doesn't mean the first strike was pointless, right? So every single person that came before was a strike against the stone. So all the earlier skateboarders, all the earlier directors, all the earlier artists, everybody, they all allowed and built the foundation by which everybody now kind of benefits. So you can't fault them. When you look at, so say for example, there are a lot of dancers who are better than Michael Jackson now, but there's no denying that he created that high energy,
Yep.
smooth movement that helped these guys to run. He allowed all of them, he walked so that they could all run. And you have to give these guys their kudos. You have to give them the respect that they deserve as the kind of forefathers for where we all stand right now. I mean, many people have written better than Shakespeare, but everybody who goes to school to learn literature respects Shakespeare for developing and writing the way that he did. So it's fantastic, and I certainly appreciate all the old masters of all the old crafts, because, as I said, we owe a lot to them. And the technology, as I said, the Wachowskis. If you go and you look at the first Lord of the Rings movie, the CGI is not all that great. Storytelling is fantastic, but all the CGI that they put into those movies, it helped every other movie that came after become even better. So
Yeah.
We can't. You don't hate the past. It's where we're all from. I mean, we look forward to the future, certainly, but at the same time, you can't deny the importance of the thing.
Oh yeah, and I think you're absolutely right about the whole hammer thing. Like I think that I mean that it makes sense. It's like everyone had and again I'm not one of those people that says, oh, dude, I just did a recording with somebody yesterday and we were talking about this. When someone says like when it comes to skateboarding or whatever, like, my generation is the best, you know, it's not true. I don't live in the past. My generation of skateboarding is the best because I was at that age doing it. That's why it is the best to me. But it's not the best to some of my buddies who are in their early 20s you know, that I've met at the skate park because this is their best. I'm like, someone's best is always going to be different. It doesn't make it better or worse. But when you grow up in that era, you didn't know any better. You didn't know any different. You didn't believe me. Back in the '90s, we had no idea what we were going to have today.
The There will never be accounting for taste. You know
Yeah,
that subjectivity, and that's what I think. That's a big thing that people should always carry into every argument that involves preference. Subjectivity and objectivity are two very different things. So because they're so different, they need to be taken into account when you're speaking to someone.
yeah,
And that's once you understand that, oh my gosh, all right, so this year I broke some incredible ground with my wife. Okay, we got into an argument, and it was a silly argument. And I think every man and woman recognizes this when one of the partners is saying some stuff and the other partner goes quiet. And it's not because they don't have anything to say. It's because they're starting to calculate what they're saying and what the effect will be. So that I was in that position. My wife said a bunch of stuff and I went quiet. And eventually I'd been quiet for quite a while. And eventually she just kind of walked away. And when I'd gotten that moment to think to myself, I realized something critical. I can't get upset because we both went into this conversation with two different objectives. She came in as an argument, and I came in as a discussion. And in English, it's important to define these two things. An argument is where you go in to try to convince the other individual that your point of view is correct. They will also bring their point of view and try to convince you that their point of view is correct. At the end of an argument, somebody's point of view is going to be destroyed and the other person's point of view will be victorious. In a discussion, two people come in with two different perspectives. And when they leave the discussion, both perspectives will still be intact, though lessons from both will be taken. My wife came into a discussion arguing, and I came into the talk thinking we were discussing. So I went to my wife after it and I gave her these two definitions. And I said, do you want to argue with me or do you want to discuss with me? Because I would like to have the conversation again. I asked my wife to argue with me again, which is psychotic. But anyway, she said, well, let us argue. And I said, no problem. Now that I understand the ground rules, I can argue with you. And when we understood that the objective was to make the other person leave with a different point of view, it helped us be more productive whenever we choose to argue. And I think that setting the rules for the battleground was a big deal there. And I feel the same way whenever I speak to anybody. When I go to Joe Fest and I talk to people, I assume that we're always having a discussion. And when they change tone or change tactics, I understand that they've changed to an argument. And now I can control the ebb and flow by changing into an argument as well. Because I know now they're looking for proof and points and facts to back up the objectivity. And I think that once people understand that and can establish that in the first 3 minutes of any conversation, they're going to have a very different experience. And I think that we should do that with pretty much everything. Just understand, okay, this person is arguing, or oh, this person is discussing, and that helps control us, because at the end of the day, all we got to do is control our response. Yeah, that's the only thing we got control over.
I agree with that, and that's a hell of a way to look at it. I truly like knowing what, and again, like I'm in and out of offices all day, so I see people, and you see how people talk, and you have to judge what they're doing. Now, are they talking to you? Are they talking down to you? Which we get numerous times. I used to always tell people, um, I haven't been married, but I have 2 kids and I raised another child. And I go, there are people that would ask me, why aren't you married? And then there are people that say, why aren't you married? Those are 2 different things.
That's 2 different questions.
If you are saying, why aren't you married? You are judging me for my lifestyle. If you are saying, why aren't you married? You're just wondering, hey, you guys live together, you have kids together. How come you guys never got married?
Tell me your tale. Yeah.
Yeah, I will answer that one. The other one is a fuck you, it's none of your goddamn business. You know? And I've had it numerous times, especially even at some place for 25 years. That means a lot of these clients knew me before I had kids. You know, so they've heard about my kids growing up and different things that are happening. But I've had people that love to question why you're not married, not ask a question, not ask you. And in that instance, it's like none of your damn business.
Well, one of them is being nosy and the other one is being concerned, like
Yes.
curious. And I think the desire to know something about somebody else in order to improve the relationship is always very important. And I think people appreciate that concern, but they don't appreciate curiosity. As you said, being nosy is not really something we should do with anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, before we came online, you were like, anything I shouldn't ask. No, I don't feel shy talking about anything, because who knows? Something I could have said might have helped somebody. And if I take that off the table for discussion and I make it something taboo, I remove the opportunity to not only learn something about myself potentially, but potentially help somebody else. You never know. Humans are like ants. We work best through communication and in large groups, and when we're all dedicated to one thing. And I think that all people, whether we like it or not, we have one objective, and that's for all of us to be better. And that's like always where garbage, like being jealous or wishing we were in charge or being in control or powerful, comes into play, and it kind of ruins the whole thing. The objectivity here is for everybody to,
So Tatsy says marry for
procreation
for
with
tax
taxes.
savings. You don't need to marry for love. And then sometimes someone has a pre-existing medical condition, and let's just say that your insurance would be way too much if you got married, but it's not when you're not. Just saying.
I think I do this in my literature, in my English classes, and whenever a kid uses a word, I always ask them to define the word, and that helps them, because I always say getting another person to understand what you're thinking, it's the same thing like being able to draw exactly what you're seeing in your head, right? So I would define love at that point. I would get whoever it is to say, well, you don't need to marry for love. Well, then what define love for me? And if you were to define love for me, then we can validate whether the statement is subjective or objective. And I have a fairly good definition of love, and it's not the dictionary version, because the dictionary version of love is a strong affection or sexual intercourse kind of thing, right? And it doesn't fit what love truly is. Love is an extraordinarily complex situation, and that's the best framing I can use for it. And anybody who's done any form of study into it knows that the Greeks had like 9 different words for love, simply because it's so complex. Yeah. So I think you should definitely get married for love, but before you get married for love, define what love to you actually means. And then after that, you know what you're looking for. And then don't keep it a secret from your partner. Define that to your partner so they know what you're looking for as well. Nobody ever gained anything by being secretive, At least that's for me.
No, the government's gained a lot from being secret.
Savagely taking advantage of us. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But that's not keeping secret. That's lying. That's different. I mean,
is it lying or omitting the truth?
Oh, it's lying. Omitting the truth is they don't say anything. They keep it away from you.
Yeah.
But they're saying things and they're saying the incorrect things to your face.
I
We've
always
all
like
been 69 by the government, you know?
I
Sorry,
always
not
like
69. We've all been spit roasted by the government.
I
Not
always like to say
69, you
like
get something from it, you know?
I always like I'll say like the person didn't lie, but they omitted the truth, and the reason why they omitted the truth or omitted certain parts of their argument is because it makes their argument fall apart,
Yeah.
which
Ask
to
questions.
me isn't a good way to argue because you need to look at all sides of an argument to come up with a proper conclusion or your feeling on it. But when you omit something and you're like, well, you didn't bring this up. At least if someone at least honestly says, well, it doesn't help my argument. Okay, well, at least you're honest about it.
Well, I would tell kids in school that they're being creative with the truth, right? But it's a euphemism for them essentially saying that you're lying, you know? But I always tell my son lied to me once when he was much younger. He must have been about 5 years old. And I wasn't asking him a question that I was asking him to help him with something. I wasn't asking him because he was in trouble. And I remember he lied to me. And I knew he was lying. And I said, "Why'd you lie?" And he said, "I wasn't lying." And I said, "Oh boy, here we go." And it ended with me actually getting upset with him. And I told him, "Listen, when I ask you to tell me the truth, it's not because I'm angry with you. I'm asking you so that I can help you. And in an ideal world, the government would be the same. In an ideal world, the government would understand that they're not in a position of power in order to take advantage of people, but they're in a position of power to help other people. And that requires truth and transparency across the board. And they'd learn that that would garner way more goodwill and respect from their, I have to say, followers than any level of anything else." And I know we're not really a political thing, so I'll take it back to toys. Ramen toys. Ace is very transparent, and if
Very.
and that has earned a lot of respect and goodwill with the toy community. And I wish people would be a little bit more like that. I know some people still wouldn't like them. Some people still don't like them, but I get the sneaking suspicion that those people wouldn't be happy with a lot of stuff anyway. So if I am to choose one between someone being secretive, jumping their costs, keeping things close to the chest, and sometimes blatantly lying or taking advantage of my nostalgia, I'll always pick the individual who's willing to apologize, try better, talk about these things because communication is important for every relationship. And in a hobby where you're actually purchasing something, uh, a good relationship with the consumer is a big deal, you know? So I
I agree with
appreciate
that.
it.
I agree with that because you can ruin it either way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I own a fair number of Ramen Toys products, and I will say that um, if Ace was not as nice as, and that's not the wizard nice, if he wasn't as savvy as he was, I probably would own less or none. So God bless that.
Darren saying, gotta get in bed, y'all. I'll catch you on the replay in the morning. Have a good night. It has been over 3 hours. And
It's
you're like,
true.
but you know what? Let's wrap it up. But let's wrap. You said you have some of your artwork, so let's
Oh,
show
yeah.
some of it off, man. Because
Mhm.
um, what you showed me in the eye, if you guys really want to drive them nuts, say no. The eye looks better like this. No,
Don't- Tilt the eye.
tilt the eye a little more.
So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me just pull the game. Yeah, I have 6 pieces, 7 pieces. Sorry, that I'll just share with people. They'll all be in the art book that I am looking to peddle next year. Don't feel obliged to buy anything if you don't want to. I'm always Let me see if I can fix that. Right, there we go. There we go, baby. Whoa. Okay. So I am a bit of an artist. I draw a lot of women, not because I'm a pervert, but rather, or because I'm a furry, but because I my teacher once told me that drawing women is extraordinarily difficult. And if you want to become better at it, you have to practice it. So I draw a lot of women because I'm not great at it. I am offering these drawings as part of a book next year. Um, I do have a table next year at Joe Fest. If you do pass by, please feel free. You could, if nothing else, you can look through the books. Don't feel obliged to buy. I just really want to share everything. So this is actually inspired by a friend of mine, Zazel. She's got horns. She doesn't need cat ears, and she's got
Oh,
wings. Right. So
add more
I had to change my furriness a little bit.
and wings.
And wings. So she's got the horns and the wings. That's two. That's still only 10%. No tail. So one of my buddies, Zazel from Zazel's Clubhouse, his wife collects anime figures, and this particular anime figure, he had a Deadpool. She had a Deadpool figure kind of swooning over her. So I just, as a spur of the moment, did this piece for her, and this will be one of the pieces in the art book. I draw dudes as well. No furries in this one. This is from one of my favorite tabletop games, a game called Infinity. All of these will be fully colored and properly rendered across the board. I hope that if nothing else, as I said, that you enjoy looking at them. This is Achilles. Ironically, Odysseus, the Odyssey, sorry, just came up. This is my depiction of Achilles from the Iliad, and his lover Briseis. I don't know how much people know about Greek mythology, and I'm not going to pretend to lecture anybody, but let's just say she played a big role in the Iliad. Everybody knows who Arcee is. This is one of the fully colored pieces. She may be a little bit sexier than she was in the 86 movie, but I'm nothing if not creative with the things that I do indeed draw. She'll be featured in the book as well.
That's Roman. That's not me making noise. That's the dog. Just so anyone, like, I'm not like, I'm not doing that.
It is a GI Joe convention, so there will be a fair number of GI Joe pieces. So here's my take on the Baroness. I've done 2 previous Baroness pieces. This is a brand new one. It will be in full color with background and everything else. What you're looking at right now is the pure line art. I'm trying to keep the colored stuff a little bit more. Trying to play that card closer to the chest. Let's just say that. Speaking of chests, we have Black Arachnia of Beast Wars fame and her impressive chest. This is going to be one of the colored pieces from in the book as well for all the Beast Wars and Transformers people out there. And last but not least, something for the superhero people, here is Black Cat. I have a friend I made at Joe Fest named Bart Simon. And I'm sure a few people know who he is, but his wife's favorite character is the Black Cat. And I drew this piece after like hearing that. I have many more. And all in all, the book will contain about 75 to 80 something art pieces, including some illustrations that are sequential, so comic book pages and short stories and stuff like that. As I said, don't feel obliged. Wow. Don't feel obliged to buy. Don't feel obliged to buy, but please feel free to stop by and critique whether you're a professional artist or not, because I always like to hear what people have to say about everything. And as we're wrapping up, thank you very much for having me on. I was very happy to be here, and I didn't think we could run for 3 hours, but well, what do you know? Hans Chow is wrong about something yet again.
If I did not have to work in the morning, I would say let's go another 3 hours. I've said this before. People are like, "Hey, we can probably do like an hour." I don't know how I could get much more. I'm not that exciting. People love to hear other stories, and I told you before we started, like, you had such a fascinating story when just talking to you at Joe Fest, and how you approach things. You're very articulated when you're talking. You can tell you're very intelligent, and that comes off. There's some people that you talk to and you're like, I never want to talk to you again. Not because you're a bad person, but because I can't keep a conversation with you. You could go down the spectrum of all different types of things to talk about. And one of my best friends that I grew up skateboarding with, he's like that. And when I see on Facebook when someone starts to not just challenge him, but pretty much tell him that he's wrong, I'm like, oh shit, here it goes. Like, I'm like, I'm hoping you are ready because he is about to annihilate you by just being smarter than you. And not even being smart, but you being dumb.
Prepare thine butthole for stretching.
Yeah. So again, I knew that I wanted to have you on. And there's so many people that I want to have on. It's hard to get through everyone and keep the diversity, right? Changing things up so you're not just like, hey, here's everyone that loves GI Joe. No, I want to grab other people. It's people that have supported me, and you've absolutely been wonderful. So Hans, thank you so much. Loved hearing the different voices that you had. But your story is amazing, and
Thank
I
you.
think people I think people got a lot out of it. There was a lot of people watching today, so thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be here. I could talk for another 3 hours too, but everybody got to work in the morning.
I know, it's like believe me, there are times that I'm like, I wish I didn't have to work, but also trying to do it on a Friday night, then you're like, that's a bad idea.
That's a bad idea, especially you got kids. You're gonna want to party too.
So, thank you very much. Tell everyone where they can find you. I did put your Instagram in the description, but I didn't know about a YouTube or anything like that. So I can go
Oh,
back and put that in after.
it's just you can really find me on Instagram, hands_chow. I post art. Sometimes I'll post some inspirational workout stuff because I do work out every day, and as you've heard in this podcast, I do think that people should work out and work their brains, bodies, souls, etc. I do have a Patreon. It's linked in my Instagram. Don't You can join for free. It's not a money thing. It's a kind of sharing sort of thing. And other than that, you can see me in person at Joe Fest next year. And if I did see you in Joe Fest this year and I did speak to you, it was a pleasure meeting you. And please don't be a stranger next year either.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. I will see you guys again. I don't think till Monday because I need time for myself. Anyway, everyone, have a great night.